Step out. Now, this is case number 157 on the calendar in the matter of Van Blericom versus Wyberny. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Van Blericom, it is your claim that you made a series of small loans to the defendant over a 4-month period, and in addition, you want him to reimburse you for expenses when you were driving him from a halfway house where he was semi-incarcerated to his job when he was on probation. He says that you were friends, that there were never any loans, and he is counterclaiming because he says that when he finished his stint in the halfway house and went back to his girlfriend, you began a series of harassing phone calls, visits, etc., and he's counterclaiming in the amount of $3,500 for that harassment. When and where did you meet the defendant?
At my work. And I met him in June of 2000.
And when did you make the first loan to him?
In February of 2001.
What was that loan for, and tell me how it came about?
We were sitting in my car, and he said, "Can I borrow $60 from you?" We had a relationship. I picked him up every night from work, and then
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
And we also met for lunch every day, and he needed some items.
And when was that? On February what?
About February 12th. There's several days.
Well, that's what we're here for, madam. You come to court. You come to court, you're organized. You can't just come to court and say, I made a series of loans to him. This is the total amount. Thank you very much. My case has been now proven.
Correct. How about if I start from the beginning?
No, how about starting where I asked you? When was the first loan that you made to him?
I'm sorry, I don't have the exact dates. I don't have receipts for them. I gave him cash.
I didn't ask you for receipts. I said, when were the loans?
Correct.
I read your complaint very carefully, and you said, when our relationship started, I began writing about it in my journal. I'd write about the normal stuff you write about, including the items that I loaned him.
Correct.
So you say you have a journal.
Okay. Correct, I do. On March 9th, I loaned him $60.
Just a second. What happened to February? February comes before March.
Okay, I'm so sorry. February 6th. He just asked if he could borrow that money to get his car registered. I loaned him $73.
So it's not 60, it's 73.
Correct. On March...
Just a second. Can I see the journal, please?
Sure.
Would it be fair to say, madam, that
Yes,
you
sir.
have no independent recollection of any specific amounts that you gave to him or the circumstances surrounding giving him that money, other than this journal? Would that be fair to say?
That would be fair to say.
Good. I'm just looking through. I'm not reading a diary. I'm looking at what you've highlighted. What you've highlighted, most of it is I just picked him up from work and brought him a pair of Nike pants, but there isn't anything in here that I see so far that talks about, here's one, that looks like March 16th. He borrowed $15. Other than the $15 in the text of your diary, is there any other amount in the text of your diary?
That's all. I wrote it at the back of my journal.
Well, I see what you wrote in the back of your diary. You said, Dave owes me.
And then it has the date. Some of them has the date by them. There's 3/19 and...
3/16 was $15, and on 3/19, $7 for junk. And the rest of them, $3 for cigarettes, another $3 for cigarettes, $20 for cigarettes.
And driver's license and registration.
Madam, there is a difference between giving somebody money and making a loan. When you make a loan, you give somebody money, you anticipate that money being returned, you make a payment plan with them, you say, when are you going to return the money?
We did have a payment plan.
What was the payment plan?
He was going to pay me $20 a week when he got out. I'll pay you back. Just keep track of it, and I'll pay you back.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, Your Honor, it doesn't.
Anything sound familiar to you so far?
No, because she...
Does the fact that she would give you money periodically for little odds and ends, does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Okay. So she did give you money. Not a large amount of money. I mean, the whole thing doesn't come to very, very much. It comes to, according to her journal, $288, right?
It could be. I didn't keep track of it.
Well, did you tell her to keep track?
Did I tell her to?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. She knew...
Don't tell me what she knew. What she knew goes to the operation of her mind. You took money from her.
Correct.
Why?
She was giving it.
Well, she wasn't giving it unless you asked her.
But
I need $3 for cigarettes, I need 3 payments.
Okay.
I need to register my car, I need my driver's license.
There was no arrangement to pay any of it back. None.
Why?
Because she knew the situation I was in. I didn't have any money. What started as a friendship, Your Honor, turned into a fatal attraction.
Listen to me. I ain't interested. I'm interested in money. You were in a halfway house because you had been arrested. You had been arrested and convicted, and you were serving time in a halfway house.
Correct.
She was schlepping you to and from the halfway house to your job because you had no means of transportation because you had a suspended license. So far, is that correct?
Once in a while.
Once in a while. It's a lot more than once in a while because I have her diary. That she was doing. That doesn't mean
Anybody
she gets paid
can
for
write
that.
anything.
Nah, that's what she... Listen, she took you back and forth. She had conversations with you. That doesn't mean she's going to get any money. Because I don't know if you had an arrangement with regard to paying any of the expenses on the car. You have $288 in cash that you say you gave him, but you're suing him for $950, and the rest of it you claim were miscellaneous expenses, like...
Gas.
Well,
Just
what
gas
kind of
for the car.
What arrangement did you have with
The
him?
same. It was just the same.
No, I don't believe you. I don't believe that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Shauna Van Blaricom says ex-boyfriend David Wyberny owes for loans and rides to work. David says Shauna is a fatal attraction.
I believe you liked him and you picked him up. You drove him where he had to go, but I don't believe that there was any of an arrangement for you to be reimbursed for your gas and your mileage and the wear and tear on your car. Don't believe it. Okay, let me get to the counterclaim. You have a counterclaim for harassment, which far exceeds her claim. You want to tell me about it?
Well, like I said before, what started as a friendship.
Don't tell me what you think it became, sir. Tell me when it started.
Shortly after I left the RCF.
What's RCF?
Residential Corrections Facility.
When was that?
In May.
And had you been seeing her up until that time?
Off and on as friends.
Okay. But
Okay,
she would pick you up, drop you off, occasionally give you cigarette money, then you get out of the RCF.
Correct.
And?
I quit talking with her because
Why is that?
things got a little deeper. She wanted more, and I couldn't give her more.
Well, if you quit speaking to her, you quit speaking to her immediately when you left RCF?
Yeah,
Where did you go to live?
at my house.
Who else lives there?
My girlfriend.
So you went back to your girlfriend immediately.
Right.
So the plaintiff had served her purpose.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I went home on the weekends too, so it wasn't. I was only down at the RCF during the week.
Did you tell her that you were going back to your girlfriend on the weekends when you weren't there?
Yes, she knew I had a
No,
girlfriend.
don't tell me
and-
what she knew.
Yes, I told her that.
That you were going back to your girlfriend on the
Yes.
weekends. Did you know
Yeah.
that?
Yes, I did. He told me that he was leaving her and after he received some papers because he owed her money. And when he got those papers that he had paid her off, that he was going to be with me and move in with me.
What kind of papers?
It was from a car dealership he had to pay.
You the girlfriend?
It's in this
Yes, I am.
Step up. Tell me your last name.
Stalin.
Stalin, what kind of money did he owe you?
He had written a check out on my account for a down payment of a truck,
Yes.
and he had been paying it back, but there was no deal to have it paid back.
Just a second. He wrote a check out on your account?
Mhm.
And he forged your name?
Yes.
Thank you. Sit down. So he told you once he got that debt paid off so that she wouldn't prosecute him, he would leave her and come back to you. Well, there's some substance to that story, sir, because your girlfriend seems to acknowledge that you forged her name to a check. So that's not a story that the plaintiff is making up out of whole cloth. But you got taken. You got had.
I know.
So that's not a lawsuit. You chalk that up to, I got had. Next time I'm going to, if I have to pick somebody up at a halfway house and drive them to their job, that should be my first clue that this wasn't what my mother had in mind when she said Prince Charming is coming along. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. All right. So now let's hear about the continued harassment after you went back to your girlfriend.
She would call our phone and hang up. I have police reports here.
I'd like to see them, please.
Of 2 incidents.
I'd like to see them.
And in one of them, the officer, girlfriend's work, it was harassing her at work to the point where she was trying to get my girlfriend fired from her job and causing problems with my girlfriend's employer.
You lied to the detective who took your initial report, sir. Is that right?
It wasn't a detective, it was a...
Police officer. You lied to the police officer who took your initial report. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. So let me gather what's been going on. The plaintiff called you several times at your job. One of the things she did when she called you at your job was to play a phone recording of him indicating that he was, in fact, still calling her. She wanted you to know that you were living with, dating, whatever, somebody who was two-timing you. I see you two-timed her. That's pretty much what it was. Is that right? And the second phone call was someone who you did not know who it was at the other end because they hung up immediately. You assumed it was her. Is that
It
fair?
happened enough times that yes.
That you assumed it was her. And they told you that you could, in fact, have records pulled, etc., but that was never done. Is that right?
No.
Fine. That's what I gather. Your harassment claim is dismissed. As for your claim, madam, I want you to be smart. Chalk it up to experience. Chalk it up to experience. She's with him now.
I understand
You
that.
have to say, good luck.
That's right.
Good luck, and I'm out of here.
That's right.
And I'm lucky to be out of here when I am, because if you want somebody with good character, you don't find them in a halfway house. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Don't be so trusting of everyone. Not everyone is good-hearted.
I think she needs to grow up. She's 34 years old and she should have learned a lesson a long time ago.
Private investigator Curtis Pritchard is suing his ex-fiancée, Betty Sestella, for the return of an engagement ring and wedding band and unauthorized bank withdrawals. Betty is countersuing for the cost of an engagement necklace and for the return of her money.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 322 on the calendar in the matter of Pritchard versus Sestella. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
All right, the engagement didn't work out. Why can't you two folks just, put a period and get on with your lives? Any reason? You want your engagement/wedding ring set back.
Yes, ma'am.
And you claim that the defendant also took money out of a bank account.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant wants her engagement necklace back that she gave you. She wants reimbursement for some jewelry that you pawned of hers. And she wants a return of money that she said she put in your joint bank account that you were supposed to be saving. Were you living together when you were engaged?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you give her the engagement ring?
May 11th.
Tell me the circumstances around you giving her the engagement ring. Was it a surprise?
No, ma'am. She went with me and picked out the rings and helped
She
negotiate
went to the store with you?
That's correct.
So far, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me about this engagement necklace. When did you get that?
I believe it was in April.
It was May, actually, May 3rd, that I purchased the necklace.
May 3rd. But you
Yes.
gave it to him before you got your engagement ring.
Yes, ma'am. It was at the jewelry store that we were going to purchase my engagement ring at.
I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding you giving him the necklace.
Okay. We had broke up at one point, and he had pawned my wedding band from my ex-husband, his gold chain, and a Texas ring of his. He told me when I got the stuff out of the pawn that for me to go ahead and give the gold chain of his to my eldest son. So that's what I did. So whenever we were looking at jewelry there at the jewelry...
So you got the jewelry out of the pawn shop.
Yes, ma'am.
How much was it to get the jewelry out of the pawn?
$180.
So you had all the pieces of jewelry in your possession.
Yes.
Do you still?
The only thing that I still have is the necklace.
What happened to the other property?
I gave it back to him.
Including your wedding band?
No, this is my wedding band from my ex-husband.
Well, so you kept that?
Right, because that was not from him. It wasn't his.
No, I
This-
understand that, but
okay.
you kept that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you kept the gold necklace?
Correct.
What kind of gold necklace is it?
It's a Figaro chain.
Can I see it, please?
And he told me to give it to...
Okay. Fine. Let's get to the necklace that you got him. Did you buy it on the day that you bought the engagement rings?
No, ma'am, because we went to another jewelry store and found something less expensive, and we purchased those, which was just a few days within one another.
How much did you pay for this necklace?
$525.
You have the receipt for it?
It's on the back of my check. They did it like if it was a credit card. And it's from North Lake Jewelers, which it says on the back.
And do you have the receipt from the engagement rings?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see them, please? Okay. Where is the necklace?
It's at home.
You want your rings back? Your rings are clearly more expensive than the necklace.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you give her the necklace back and she'll give you the rings back?
Well, because it was not an engagement gift. It was a gift to
Told you.
replace.
A gift to replace what?
Part of her story's online, but the necklace part, I didn't tell her to give it to her son until after she had already gotten it out of pawn, and I knew it was in her possession at that time. She wasn't going to give it to me anyway.
Because you were fighting at that point?
That's correct.
Yeah.
But when we got back together, I did tell her, you know, I want my necklace because I was afraid she had given it to somebody else.
What did you do with the money that you pawned the stuff for?
I bought groceries and stuff for her and her kids.
Is that right?
No, I don't know when he pawned it or what
Let me
he
ask
did
you
with
this
the money.
question.
I don't know. For
You
a
were
fact.
living together for a period of time, for this period of time, is that
Yes,
right?
yes, ma'am.
Were you working? Working. And
At
you
that
tell
moment-
me where, for whom, and how much you were earning. So my question is, at the time he pawned the jewelry, were you employed?
I believe I was.
Believe
and
you
the reason,
were. You're
The
gonna-
reason I say is because it's been almost a year.
Well, I
So-
want you to think back. Think back.
I was
Pawned
working.
the
Yeah, I
jewelry?
was working as a
For who?
for the state of Texas. I was a boot camp drill instructor.
What were you earning?
I was earning $7.25 an hour.
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
Can't support yourself and 3 children on $7.25 an hour.
No, ma'am. My children live with their father
So it was just the 2 of you?
and his 2 children.
Ah. So was she in fact working as a drill instructor at that point, sir?
No, she had already quit, but her kids came for visitation, and at that weekend was in between my pay periods, and we didn't have any money. And all 3 of them came, and we needed some money.
Okay. What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a private investigator.
So if you want these rings back, and if you want to terminate this relationship in a most agreeable and less stressful manner as possible, why don't you just give her back the necklace? She's going to give you back the rings, and then we've resolved part of this lawsuit.
Because I like the necklace.
Is it worth more than $2,500?
No, ma'am.
That's what you paid for the rings. That sounds fair to me, doesn't it?
If you feel that, I don't.
I sure do. So you're going to give her back the necklace, and she's going to give you back the rings. Then we've taken care of that. Now let's talk about the money. You say she took some money out of a bank account?
Yes, ma'am.
$600?
$662, some in that neighborhood. Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
me about that.
Well, it's my bank account, and the only money that was in that bank account was money that people had written me checks for cars or something. No money of hers ever went in that bank account.
Was it a joint bank account?
I did put her on the bank account, that's correct. But when she left, I requested the ATM cards and the credit cards.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Curtis Pritchard says ex-fiancée Betty Sestala refuses to give back his engagement ring and wedding band. Curtis also says Betty helped herself to his bank account.
I'll hear you.
Every week that I got paid, I gave Curtis my money. I worked from May 11th to August 9th.
3 months.
Yes, ma'am. I made
And-
$8,400. I didn't spend $8,000 in living expenses and stuff.
How much did you spend?
I don't know.
Well, how do I know?
Well, the reason that I say that is there's no way I could have possibly spent $8,000. I'm not a high-maintenance girl.
I don't know whether you are, whether you're not, but if you have a joint bank account and you're putting money in, and I assume you were putting money
No
in the
money
account?
went into that bank account.
What?
No, none of her pay ever went in the bank account.
Well, what happened with her $8,400? What happened with her $8,000?
She would get paid. She would give me some of her money, not all of it. She gave me some of her money. That's true.
Well, how much did she give you?
I couldn't be exactly sure, but you know, she's telling. She gave me some of her money, but I mean, it would cost $600 to $800 every time she wanted to go visit her kids, hotel, food. She'd go shopping all the time.
So it would be a fair statement that you commingled your funds.
That's
Is that
correct.
a fair
Yes, ma'am.
statement? And you're not married.
That's correct.
No, he's divorced as of yesterday.
Well, but you're not married now.
No, ma'am.
You folks cannot expect to come to court and have somebody else unravel these very intricate financial woes that you managed to get yourself into. And what I said at the start of this case was, you're 2 people, you started a relationship, it didn't work out, why can't you just put a period and move on? You clearly spent money during that 3-month period.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know whether you went to visit your children like he says you did, and he has no proof of what you spent. So I would be doing a guest job, and I don't do guest jobs.
Your Honor, the day that he kicked me out, told me to get the F out, I left walking, and I went without a dime, without any clothes but what I had on my back.
Just a second.
strange man picked me up on the side of the road, and...
Listen to me. You don't get compensated for that. You've had an on-again, off-again with this man clearly for a long time.
And he's the one that's been the one that's made the money off of it, because I don't have a dime because he has it all.
Next time you should know better.
I've also sent her money when she needed it. She called me, asked me. I've got money grants where I sent her money.
Let me see.
So, I mean, it's not like she... This is in addition to that $600 she took. Plus, I just gave her $2,900 just a few days ago.
On the 1st of October of this year, did he send you $200?
Yes, ma'am.
What for?
For me to... I had my children that weekend. My son had a paintball competition,
And you
he
called
said-
him and asked him for money and he sent it?
No, I didn't call him. He called me.
So he called you when you said you needed money?
No, I didn't. He asked me if I needed any money.
Fine. So he sent you $200 on the 1st. Then I have another transfer here to you in September. The end of September for another $300. What was that for?
For just basic living expenses, because I went there without a dime.
He's not responsible for you.
No, he's not. And he
He's
never
not
has
responsible.
been.
He's not a. He doesn't sound like a cad to me.
Well,
Did he give you? Did he give you other? Shh, did he give you other money just last week?
No.
Are you lying to me?
No, I'm not. I have no reason to lie about it.
I think you do. In any event, I'm going to cut the following order. Mr. Pritchard, listen to me, sir. You're going to part with that great necklace. You're going to give it back to her within 5 days, and she's going to part with the rings. You have one that you're wearing now?
That's the only one that I have.
Where's the other one?
He has it.
Take the ring off. Give it to Bird.
There's other things that you're not hearing that makes him not sound like such a cad. That's not it that I couldn't sue him for here. From where he borrowed $5,000 from me, and he sold the truck that he had gotten a loan on, and I've not got that. I got $600 of that, which I have the paperwork in my purse.
Mr. Pritchard, you want her son to have this necklace, or you want it back?
No, Jeremy can have it.
Give it back to her. You're to get the engagement necklace back to her.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep it simple. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think that it's right that a man can keep everything he earned.
Didn't go quite like I thought, but I believe she was fair.
He wasn't working, and there was no money, and I had to make a living.
We're both kind of hard-headed, I guess.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Allen versus Phoenix. Step forward, please.
35-year-old caterer Dan Allen is suing 25-year-old office manager Destiny Phoenix for slander. Dan claims statements made by Destiny caused him to lose business.
All right, this case is really in two parts, so let me try to explain it as I understand it and tell you why it's in two parts. Mr. Allen, you have a small catering business. You make burritos, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had the defendant as a client, which means that you would come up in your truck every day.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you made your burritos, and you would get orders from the personnel that worked in her office.
Right.
You would make the burritos, and you would do this not only for her company, but for others.
Correct.
It is your claim that because of things that she said about your business, which were untrue, you lost her business, and in addition, the second part of your claim is that she made defamatory remarks about your business to other businesses who used your service, and they also canceled your service. Now, did you have a contract with the defendant?
A written contract? We had a verbal contract.
And what was the verbal contract, sir?
That would be okay for me to come by every day at a certain time to sell my food.
So that is a day-to-day operation. You didn't have a year's contract with her or a 6-month contract with her, so she could say to you, I don't want you to come into the place anymore to sell burritos, or I'm not going to use your service because, I don't know, because we don't like burritos anymore. So she doesn't have to give you any reason whatsoever.
That's correct.
So the first part of your lawsuit is dismissed. And the second part of your lawsuit is that she made untruthful statements about your little business to other people therefore causing you to lose business. So you have to establish to my satisfaction, first, that she made the statements to other businesses, and second, that the statements she made were untrue. Do you understand what your legal burden is?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me first, what statements can you establish that she made to other businesses that used your service?
Sure, I have a witness, Chris Laro, who I've been servicing food to for the past year and a half approximately, and I'm there every day. And I was there about 15 minutes after I was at Destiny Phoenix's business. So he saw me that same day. This is regarding the fact that she said I reeked of beer. He would definitely have noticed that.
Oh, no, don't tell me. Step up, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me your name.
Chris Laro.
Mr. Laro.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
kind of business do you have, sir?
I am actually a law clerk at a law firm that Mr. Allen services. I am not the witness. I don't believe that he would like to call to prove the defamation. I'm here as a character witness only to prove that I have not seen him ever smelling of alcohol, that he's maintained a professional
So is
business.
what you're telling me that Miss Phoenix never made any statements to you
That's correct, ma'am.
with regard to Mr. Allen's job?
That's correct. Mr. Allen has a written statement from
I
another-
don't take written statements.
Okay.
You understand that you're a law clerk.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to law school now?
Yes, I am.
What year are you in, sir?
I'm in my third year.
So you know a little bit about hearsay.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And what are written statements?
They are out-of-court statements offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
Correct. And according to the rules of evidence, sir, that would be inadmissible. Is that right?
Yes, it would.
Thank you. So far, you're halfway to passing the bar. Mr. Allen, do you have any other proof, sir, that the defendant made statements to any other business which were untrue, which caused you to lose business?
I believe she referred to the fact that I did not have a food license in this recording that I have of her that she left on my phone.
I'm not talking about your phone, sir. I'm talking about other people who your business serviced.
I just have a written statement, and I just have my food license here to prove that I have a food license.
You have to be able to establish to me, sir, that the defendant said to a third party something about you that wasn't true, which caused you to lose business. There are certain rules which your witness knows about, which courts will accept an out-of-court sworn statement. What is the reason that that person cannot be here today?
He did not want to take off work.
That's not a reason, sir.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Laro, anything else you want to say? I would love to do this legal exercise with you, sir. It's been a slow day so far. Go ahead.
I fear of taking a beating on national TV, but nevertheless, I think that in the interest of allowing this court to look at the totality of the circumstances here, possibly the court could let him admit this hearsay statement, the facts that we are here in small claims court, and the federal or state rules of evidence are a little bit lax for small claims court. I think that you would be able to see that it was relevant and authentic, Your Honor.
One of the reasons that we do not allow out-of-court statements, sir, only under very, very strong criteria, is because it does not allow the defendant to cross-examine the maker of that statement. That means that if I were to look at that statement, I would have to, in my own head, say, everything in that statement is true, because it does not give Miss Phoenix an opportunity to ask any questions, or for me, on her behalf, like I'm asking Mr. Allen questions, to ask that person questions. That's the reason why we do not permit hearsay statements, because it's inherently unfair to the other side. And the fact that this is a court program that happens to be televised does not obfuscate the need to have reliable evidence.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? Reliable evidence. Hearsay evidence is inherently unreliable. So that your case is dismissed, Mr. Allen. But you were very good, sir.
Thank you.
You may obfuscate the courtroom.
Judge Judy.
I'm going to keep fighting it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bell versus Clark, step forward, please.
53-year-old William Bell is suing his girlfriend's former friend, 42-year-old secretary Elizabeth Clark, for having him falsely arrested. Elizabeth says William threatened to kill her. She is countersuing for harassment.
Mr. Bell, you are suing the defendant for having you falsely arrested on charges of threatening and harassing her. She is counterclaiming for harassment. Let me understand the relationship. You have a girlfriend or had a girlfriend. The defendant is a friend of your former girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
You were having some difficulty with the girlfriend. You called the defendant to sort of act as an intermediary and to talk to her and see if you could put things back together again. The defendant then called the police and said that you had threatened her. You were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you call her?
February 17th of 2001.
Had you ever called her before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And tell me about the conversation that you had with her.
I didn't have a conversation with her. I got her voicemail.
Okay.
And I left a message who it was, and I was staying at Baymont Inn Motel. Could you please give me a call?
Why were you staying at a motel?
I had moved out of my girlfriend's house.
So you and your girlfriend had lived together and
Yes,
had
we're
a problem?
together now. Yes,
You are back together
yes,
now?
we've been together, yes.
So you went out and stayed at a motel?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you left a voice message, and I assume she called you back.
She called me back, ma'am, approximately 4:30, 5 o'clock that evening.
What was the conversation?
Her first question was, when I answered the phone, is this Bill Bell? And I said, yes. She says, William Bell. And I said, yes, it is. Then she started getting very belligerent.
Don't tell me belligerent. That's a conclusion, Mr. Bell.
Okay.
Tell me what she said to you.
She was cursing at me for calling
Tell
her.
me what she said. I'm a big girl. I'm over 21. I know that's hard to believe, but I am.
You want
I want the words she said to you, that you claim she said to you.
She called me I don't want to say it on the mother. A son
Yes.
of that I was going to get her fired from her job for calling her work.
When did you call her work?
I found out later that the number I called, which was her home phone number, is a work number at her home.
Okay, so first she cursed you, you say, because you called her at her work number. And then what did she say to you?
She told me that she was going to get even with me for calling her. And I apologized for calling and leaving a message on her phone.
Well, what message did you leave on her phone?
Just my name and the phone number where I was at.
Okay.
And I told her I was going to hang up. And she says, if you hang up, you're going to pay for it big time. And I went ahead and hung up anyway because I'd already apologized and she was still cursing me.
And when were you arrested, sir?
A while later that they had a warrant out for my arrest. And I talked to the police officer who had called the motel to get a hold of me and left a message.
No, look at me. Stop playing with your papers.
I called the officer back and he told me there was a warrant and I went down. It was, I believe it was in April. I went down and I turned myself in because I
didn't find out about this warrant until April?
No, ma'am.
What happened to the charges?
Well, the charges were dropped the 2nd of October because the defendant never showed up for court.
Okay. And do you have a copy of the complaint?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see that. And, Ms. Clark, I would like to see a copy of the police report that you made at the same time.
Okay. And he called me more than one time.
Wait. I'm going to get to you, I promise you.
Sorry.
When did you advise the police of these phone calls, Ms.
It
Clark?
was probably the middle of February.
Okay, just 1 second.
Okay.
So you did not call the police the day that he made the phone calls, the day that you had
Yes,
the
I did.
conversation? Oh,
Yes,
you
I
did?
did.
So
I
you
did.
called the police the same day. All right.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Clark, I would like you to tell me, he left a message on your voicemail to call him. The message that he left on your voicemail was not threatening to you.
No, it's when I talked to him.
So I am correct. It was not threatening to you, and you knew who he was because...
This is the first time I've ever seen this man.
But you knew who he was because of your girlfriend.
Right.
That's what, just pay attention.
Okay, sorry.
Now, I want you to tell me your version of the conversation.
Okay. I work 2 jobs. I also work at a golf course.
Is this relevant to my question?
Yes, it is. He went in to my employer, who I have a letter from, was asking for my address and my phone number. Since then, I don't even know this man. He's taken me to court and put...
I want you, Miss Clark, to answer my question.
Okay.
My question is, I want you to tell me what the phone conversation was when you returned his phone call.
He wanted me to get his girlfriend...
Tell me what he said.
He wanted to know if I would call Lou and get them back together, reconcile their differences.
And what did you say to him?
No.
Did you tell him why?
Mm-hmm.
What did you say? Tell me what you said.
I said, because I think that what you did was wrong, and I think she's better off without you.
And what did he say in response?
And then he got aggravated.
That's a conclusion.
Okay.
What did he say?
He said, well, that doesn't help me out a bit. And I really don't recall the rest of the conversation. It was a long time ago.
Well, you have to tell me the rest of the conversation. That's the basis of
just more or less said that he wanted me to call Lou, and he said, you're the only one she'll listen to, and you need to get this situation taken care of for me or else.
At that point, did you hang up on him?
I don't recall.
Or did you have any further conversation?
He called so many times on my caller ID, it was...
Okay. Now, did you ever speak to him after that?
No.
You never spoke to him after that?
Nope.
And the conversation that you just relayed to me is, to the best of your recollection, the sum and substance of the conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Then, Ms. Clark, I'm going to ask you the following questions.
Okay.
It's clear to me that you said, I'm not going to help you. He said, that doesn't help me any. You better help me or else. Those were pretty much his exact words, as you remembered?
Yeah.
Then can you tell me why you told the police that he said to you, I will get you, I will kill you, just a second.
I'm sorry.
I will get you, I will kill you, and then I will kill myself.
That is true.
Well, Ms. Clark, I asked you 3 times.
I know, I'm sorry.
3 times what he said to you. Now, you got the police's attention, certainly, when you told the police, he said, I'll get you, and then I'll kill myself, and I'll kill Lou, and I'll kill everybody. It seems to me that that would be the first thing that you would say. Not forget it, but that would be the first thing. I will kill you is something that you remember, not I'll get even or you'll get yours, or I will kill you is something that sticks in your mind. In order to get to the police's attention, they say, well, you know, that's really not a threat. You know, you'll get yours is not a threat. I'll kill you is a threat that the police pay attention to.
I will get you.
I will get you is one thing. But I seriously doubt, based upon our testimony today, that he said to you, I will get you, which you didn't tell me. I will kill you. I will kill Lou, and then I will kill myself. Kill. That you remember, and that the police might respond to, but not, you'll get yours. Okay, now let's go back a second. You started to tell me that he's taken you to court 3 times.
Yes, yes.
Now, I want you to tell me about the 3 occasions when he's taken you to court.
Okay, he has put 2 restraining orders against me. The first time that I went to court is when I pressed the charges against him. He didn't show up. So
when was the first time that he pressed charges against you?
April.
April.
Mm-hmm. And then after he hadn't shown up twice for court, it was dismissed with prejudice on August 16th.
So in April, he filed a charge against you for something. For what, Mr. Bell? For what?
After this deal
After
in
the
February,
warrant.
I had all the telephone calls we were getting and hang-ups. We were getting calls 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Did you know where they were coming from?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know where they were coming from?
Caller ID showed York Equipment.
Boy, you know, you think this caller ID was a wonderful invention, and it turns out it's used for all kinds of different things. All right, so he filed 2 restraining orders against you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know something? It sounds like a little bit of an abusive process, but Ms. Clark, based upon what you did in having him arrested, I think that he was exercising probably restraint. I don't believe that there was any basis for you to have him arrested. I don't believe that he threatened to kill you. I believe that you got the police's attention. That's what I believe. Based on your testimony today, he never threatened to kill you. Never. All right. Miss Clark's statement to the police was designed to get their attention.
Because it was said.
No, it was not said, Miss Clark, because on 3 separate occasions, giving you every opportunity today to recount what he said to you, the most important thing would be to any normal person was he threatened to kill me by saying, I will kill you. I will kill Lou. Then I'll kill myself. Time and time again, all you said was, the last time around, you'll get yours, or I'll get you, or something like that. You left out, I'll get you.
That's after 10 or 11 calls, though, Your Honor.
Just a second. You never spoke to him again, madam. You spoke to him once, and then you said you did not take the other calls because you saw his caller ID.
He left messages.
He left messages. Let me hear them.
I don't have them.
Well, It also seems to me, Miss Clark, that if someone threatened you with bodily harm to an extent that you called the police, and then if you were listening to messages, you would retain them, bring the tape.
I don't have
so
a
that
tape.
there would be no, you would get a tape so the police could listen to them and then pursue this matter, because then you're dealing with a real nut. He's suing you for $5,000, which he is absolutely entitled to, and I am granting his judgment for $5,000 against you, and I'm dismissing your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continued.
Now this case.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Walker versus Lund. Step forward, please.
36-year-old construction worker David Walker is suing his former father-in-law, 68-year-old retired school teacher Donald Lund, for getting rid of his personal belongings. David is suing for $5,000.
Mr. Walker, the defendant is your former father-in-law, and he was also the landlord in the home that you shared with your wife.
Yes.
According to your complaint, sometime in March of 2000, you were removed from your home, and your wife obtained a restraining order against you. Is that right?
That's correct.
You claim that your father-in-law either destroyed or gave away or removed personal property of yours that was in the home.
Yes, I do.
And you want to be reimbursed for that property.
Yes, ma'am.
Your father-in-law says that sometime in September of 2000, he was notified that he had to get rid of a lot of junk on the property. He removed all that stuff. Is that right?
Well, I removed not his stuff. I removed the stuff that was in the yard debris, stuff like that.
Now, Mr. Walker, I'd like you to give me some idea of what property you say was left on the property in March of 2000.
Okay, well, I had 3 vehicles, 2 pickup trucks, a camper. Also
3 vehicles?
3 vehicles.
Okay. Now, when for the first time, sir, did you request that property?
Quite a few times between March and September, I'd spoke with Dawn and asked how I could go about retrieving my property. When it finally did come time for the vehicles to be removed from the property, like he said, Dawn had to get a tow truck to remove the 2 trucks that were in the driveway, and he moved them just adjacent the driveway in front of the home where I'm not allowed to come obtain them.
So, where are they?
They were towed by the city.
When were you notified that they were towed?
Immediately I knew they were towed.
So why don't you go get them?
I couldn't get them out of the impound.
Why not?
I didn't have the money to.
Well, that's not his fault.
Okay.
First of all, he was under no obligation to pay for towing your trucks off that property in the first place. You could have done that yourself.
We couldn't do that because of my ex-wife.
What do you mean? You said you spoke to him.
I spoke to him, and he told me to come over to meet him on the property and have him towed off. When I didn't show up to meet him on the property, that's what he did.
Fine. So forget the vehicles. And you were notified immediately that they were impounded. You could have gone over immediately, paid whatever minimal fine there was for towing, and gotten your cars. All right. What's next? Boats. Tell me about the boats.
Well, one boat wasn't on a trailer that Don drug out and left in the middle of the gravel road for whoever wanted to take it or come get it.
And when did he do that, sir?
Probably 2 or 3 weeks after the vehicles were removed. He had to get the boat off.
And what date were the vehicles removed?
I would say probably September 15th.
Where were you between March and September?
Living 10 blocks away.
So why didn't you go to small claims court in April and say, I want my boats? Why didn't you do that? You waited 1.5 years later?
Well, probably because I didn't see any reason to have to do that. My property should have been given to me. You know, if Don had an order to remove it from the property, he should have removed it and put it 150 feet away from the home. He was aware of the restraining order. He was aware I couldn't come on the property, and there was nothing there worth going to jail over.
Are you divorced now?
Yes, we are.
Did your judgment of divorce address the boat?
The judgment of the divorce addressed whatever vehicles were in our possession, which obviously no vehicles were in my possession at that time.
Well, why didn't you raise the issue before the judge who handled your divorce and say, I have a boat?
They went ahead and went ahead with the divorce when I wasn't present.
You defaulted? You were served. You served and you chose not to appear.
I suppose so.
Okay. What else?
Tools and materials, which on June 25th of this last year, the shed was torn down and they were disposed of.
We had from March of 2000 to June of 2001. So where were you? And say, I need my tools.
Living in Clackamas County with a no-contact order with the victim and a no-contact order with Mr. Lund.
Now, do you still have a no-contact order?
There's still a no-contact order with
So you have
both
the
of them.
same no-contact order that you had in March of 2000?
No, there wasn't one in March of 2000.
April of 2000?
There wasn't one
May
in
of 2000?
It's October.
October. So between March and October, there wasn't a restraining order.
No, and I tried like hell to get my stuff.
You found your way to small claims court now. You know how to do that.
I was not aware that I could go to small claims court. Being the divorce was not final, the divorce had not been filed. None of the property should have been removed, disposed of, or sold until our divorce was final. Point of the matter is the property was destroyed, the property was vandalized, and the property was disposed of before our divorce.
Then, sir, you should have addressed that in your divorce.
Okay?
You should have said, I don't have my cars, I don't have my share of my boats, I don't have my tools, and then it's all resolved.
You think it's right that somebody disposes of somebody's property and everything that they've worked hard for their whole life and never so much as give them one item just to spite them?
Well, sir, what I think is that when you're going through a divorce, you're supposed to be vigilant about obtaining property that is important to you. And what I'm saying to you is you don't wait 2 years and then say, we never mentioned this property in my divorce because I chose not to appear, so now I want $5,000 from you for all the things that you didn't take good care of that belong to me.
I might be wrong on the timeline, the amount of time I waited, but I'm not wrong for requesting being compensated by the person that disposed of all my property. Landlord-Tenant Act says Mr. Lund cannot dispose of my property without giving me written notice.
He didn't dispose of any of your property, sir? He didn't dispose of any of your property. He got your cars off of his property. And the fact that they were not 150 feet away, so you say he enabled you to go over and get them.
I think that's vindictive.
It may be. That's what divorces usually are, vindictive. That's why people have to appear if they have a problem, not say, which is what you did. You said, she wants a divorce, let her get a divorce, and I'll deal with this later.
I did what the law told me to do, have no contact with either victim.
No, sir. There is still a no-contact order. And if there's still a no-contact order, you found your way to the courthouse today. You should have found your way to the courthouse a year and a half ago. Your complaint is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Legal assistant Robbie Gibbs is suing her former babysitter, 16-year-old Clarissa Thompson, and her parents Ethel and Paul Thompson. Robbie says, while babysitting her children, Clarissa ran up her phone bill. The Thompsons are countersuing for their daughter's unpaid babysitting fees.
Order. All rise. This is case number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Gibbs versus Thompson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Gibbs, the defendant's daughter, I assume this young lady.
Yes.
Is a babysitter for you.
Briefly, yes.
And your lawsuit wants her parents to pay for the following, because she's a minor.
Correct.
She ran up a phone bill from your house?
Mm-hmm.
So you want them to pay for the phone bill?
Correct.
And you want a return of the money that you paid her for babysitting?
Yes.
Because you say she was not a good babysitter.
Not exactly because she wasn't a good one, but more or less she was not attending to them.
Okay, that's your lawsuit. The Thompsons have a counterclaim, and the Thompsons want you to pay more for babysitting, because they say that you owe their daughter for babysitting. And they say that they also want punitive damages because they say that you were a bad influence on their daughter, which they will explain to me. So let's see where we can fix some responsibility here. What is your first name?
Clarissa.
When did Clarissa start to babysit for you?
Early February. I probably have an exact date in my calendar. Yeah, early February, like around the 9th, I believe, is the first time she babysat for me.
And how did you find her?
They lived above me in the apartment complex and had talked about babysitting and asked her to come over a few times prior to that.
Who did you talk to?
Clarissa.
Directly?
Yes.
So that all the arrangements that you made were with Clarissa?
Yes, ma'am.
And you arranged a fee?
Yes. After about a week or so, we decided that I would just go ahead and give her $30 a week because I was using her for an hour here, an hour there during the week.
So far, Clarissa, is that correct, that she was going to pay you $30 a week?
No, it is not.
Well, what was she supposed to pay you?
Well, she agreed to pay me $20 every time I babysat for her, which led to almost every day.
Really? $20 a day, even if you only babysat for an hour?
It was more than an hour. I would stay overnight sometimes because she would come home so late.
So starting the beginning of February, she started to babysit for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, Clarissa?
Yes, I started February 12th, actually.
Okay. Did she babysit for you in March?
Yes, she did.
Is that right, Clarissa?
Yes.
And you got paid?
Not really. She only paid me like once, and that was $60.
In all the time that you babysat for her?
Only $60.
Really?
Yes.
What about April? Did she babysit for you?
No, ma'am. I received my first phone bill on March 24th.
And that's when you stopped the babysitting?
Actually, I had stopped babysitting about a week prior to that. I had come home and my 2-year-old had burned a popsicle stick on the stove. He said he was cooking it.
Okay. And how many weeks in total had she babysat for you?
Approximately 4 or 5.
How many weeks?
6.
Let's go through your book and figure out exactly how many weeks she babysat for you.
Would you like the book?
Yeah.
I didn't write down always when she babysat. I know I have the first few times written down.
She babysat every week for you after you hired her. She babysat for you for 5 weeks. Now, according to you, you were supposed to pay her $30 a week.
February 22nd was the first time I gave her $30. So I would imagine it would have been the first part of that week that we had made that agreement.
Well, then it's 4 weeks.
Okay, so
4 weeks times 30 is $120. Now, how much had you actually paid her?
I've actually paid $140 because of the time prior to that.
So according to your records, you're all paid up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, tell me about the phone bill.
Clarissa would use the phone when she babysat, and from the very beginning I told her I did not have a problem with her using the phone, not to make long-distance calls. I'm a single mother. I don't have means to pay for long distance. I don't use long distance myself. I received my first bill on March 24th, I believe it was, that I put on there, and the long distance charges for that month were $308.40.
Who were you calling, Clarissa?
It was an ex-boyfriend of mine at the time.
Did you know that that was the wrong thing to do?
When I first started babysitting for her, she told me that I had all privileges of the phone. She never told me not to make long-distance calls.
Well, did you make those long-distance calls in your own house?
Sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes?
Well,
did you ever get a phone bill for $300 a month?
No, ma'am.
No, of course not. Don't fool around with me, Clarissa. Don't fool around with me. Okay, so that's $308. Was that the total phone bill?
No, then I received one in mid-April for $31 in long distance, $87 in collect calls, and...
Was the boyfriend making collect calls to you?
No, he always called me direct.
So nobody called you collect?
No.
Does this have the number of the...
Yes, it does.
Is it the same number that she
No,
called?
ma'am, it's not. It's a Fresno number. And I asked Clarissa, have you been accepting collect calls from this number? And she says, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. And I have here $85 in collect calls. There's...
Well, she says she doesn't know whose those are, but it really doesn't make any difference.
They're not mine.
Let's say they're Clarissa's. Why should her parents be responsible for that?
Because she's a minor.
No, you're responsible for it. And I'm going to tell you why you're responsible for it. Because you have a mechanism where you can put on your phone a block so that you can't make long-distance calls.
I've never had a need for that.
Of course
I make long-distance occasionally.
Let me explain something to you. Your business arrangement was never with Clarissa's parents. Your business arrangement was with Clarissa. And if you want to ensure that things in your house are not abused, you have to take steps to do that. Her parents can't come into your house and do that. You have to do that. They are not responsible for the long-distance call made by their daughter in your house. You're responsible. You have to be prudent and vigilant, make sure that the phone isn't used, put the phone away, lock up the phone, disconnect the phone, do whatever you want to do with it. But there is no way that you are going to hold the Thompsons responsible for her calls that she made.
I had
not going to
discussed
happen.
the agreement with her mother at one time, though, Your Honor.
I don't care whether you discussed an agreement with her mother or not. They're not responsible. You're responsible because they have no ability to see to it that in your house the phone isn't abused. They know how to do it in their house because her mother wouldn't tolerate it. Right?
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You think you're entitled to more money?
Well, yes.
Really? How much do you think she owes you?
Well, see...
Give me an idea.
I say about over $600.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Robbie Gibbs says former babysitter 16-year-old Clarissa Thompson ran up her phone bill with long-distance phone calls. Clarissa says Robbie still owes her money.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, he would call her directly when I was there.
So?
So I never had any clue that she was calling him or making
Neither
phone
did her
calls.
mother. Neither did her mother. You want to take care of your phone? Lock it in your drawer. It's not a mother's fault. And you'll know better next time. You hire a babysitter, you take out the phone. Or you put a block on it. You say you can't make long-distance calls. That's it. She's not legally responsible. And I can't find that her parents are responsible because you have the responsibility of ensuring that when you hire a teenage babysitter and you know that they sit on the phone and they can sit on the phone for hours, you make sure that they can't get to your phone. All right. Now, you want to tell me why you think you're entitled to any money back from the money that you paid her for babysitting?
Because she wasn't babysitting. She would go in my room and shut the door and use the phone. I came home on an occasion when that happened.
When
and
was the first time you came home and
it
found
was
her?
about 2 weeks before I had her quit babysitting, and I told her she was not welcome at my home anymore. Her mother came down. We talked about it. Her mother assured me that it would not happen again. The following week is when I came home and my son had been burning a popsicle stick.
So? Then you fired her.
And then I fired her. Yes.
So why do you think you're entitled to anything back?
I just put it in there because I thought that I paid her for services that were not rendered.
You should have been more vigilant. If I came home and found my 2 babies weren't being cared for by a babysitter, I would say thank you very much. I'm paying you for the day. You're not welcome back here
Which
anymore.
is what I did.
No.
And then her
you
mother
had a
came down and
conversation
spoke
with
with
her
me.
mother, and her mother assured you it wasn't going to happen again. Come on. Get real. All right. Now let's get to your counterclaim, if you're serious about it. You think you're entitled to more money?
Well, yes.
Really? Why don't you tell me why you think you're entitled to more money?
Well, because I did babysit for the kids, you know, like, because most of the time she was barely even there. She'd send her oldest son to come get me at 6:30 after she got off work, and then she'd be gone all night.
How much do you think she owes you for babysitting?
Well, see...
Give me an idea.
I say about over $600, but
Really? You think over $600?
Yes.
Really? And you babysat for her each and every week?
Yes.
And you accepted the money she gave you, and you didn't say to her, no, you owe me more than $30 a week. I'm not taking the $30. You came back and you babysat for her again, another week, and then another week, and then another week.
She kept promising me, oh, I have to go to the bank, oh, I haven't got my check yet, or I haven't cashed it. That's what she had kept telling me. So
I'm just going to sit on the phone and talk to my boyfriend. Forget any more money. Chalk it up to the time that you were sitting on the phone in the bedroom, chewing the fat with the boyfriend. You got me?
Yes.
Perfect. Is there anything else you want to tell me about your counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am. I was suing her for punitive damage because, actually, I don't want to do this.
Smart. Smart. It's her responsibility to take care of her phone. It's your daughter's responsibility to do the right thing if she's babysitting. I'm sure that you've had a chat with her about abusing the privilege of somebody else's phone. I have a feeling you have.
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right, Miss Gibb. Next time, you just be a little more careful, madam. That's all.
Please excuse. You may step out.
I was pretty upset.
I'm very sorry for Mrs. Gibbs, and I hope that she get her life together.
She said that she had permission. Her parents said, no, you didn't have permission.
They both played on the telephone.
Let's let teenagers babysit anymore.
Not to babysit for people like her again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Peterson versus Thornhill. Step forward, please.
20-year-old college student Serene Peterson is suing her former friend, administrative assistant Jasmine Thornhill, for unauthorized use of her credit card. Jasmine says she had Serene's permission.
Miss Peterson, the defendant was a good friend of yours. You claim, however, that she stole your credit card and used it without your permission, racking up tremendous bills for which you are responsible. The defendant says she did, in fact, use your credit card. She used it with your permission. You had an arrangement where she would pay the bill, and she was perfectly prepared to honor that arrangement. You knew her for a long time?
Around 6 months.
When do you claim she stole your credit card?
December 15th, I was over her apartment on a social engagement. When I left, I accidentally left my wallet with my credit card inside her apartment.
Go ahead.
2 days later, after searching my belongings, I called her and asked her if she had it. She said that she did, and I went over and I retrieved it the same day.
Your credit card?
Yes.
Go ahead.
After that, everything was fine until I received my statement. That was in mid-January. The statement had some charges, along with the charge that I purchased for Miss Thornhill while I was at her apartment.
What do you mean the charge that you purchased for her?
When I was over her apartment on the 15th, she asked me if she could use my credit card to purchase something online. I agreed to make the purchase for her.
What did you purchase for her online?
An online thing from Pier 1 for $62.67.
Can I see that bill, please?
Yes.
Now you have certain things highlighted.
Yes, those are all of the charges that Ms. Thornhill made, except for the one on December 5th.
You have one here for December 19th.
Yes, that's correct.
But you got your credit card back on December 17th.
Yes.
You have something on the 18th.
There are a series of charges made after December 15th, extending onto May. I have a complete list. All of the charges I did not make, Ms. Thornhill made.
Let me hear your version of how you got this credit card.
Sure, Your Honor.
Prior to December 15th, I had asked Ms. Peterson if I could use her credit card in order to make some online purchases for Christmas and some other purchases as well. She said it was no problem. She would come to my workplace in the next couple of days and she would give me the card so I could go ahead and do that. She came to my workplace as agreed and she left the card in my possession. After that, I proceeded to make a few of the online purchases and I asked her, was it okay if in the coming couple of weeks, if I needed, if I could use it again? And Ms. Peterman's statement to me was, well, hey, I don't have a job right now. You're working full time. If you want to use it, just make sure you pay the bill. I'll send the statements to you and we won't have a problem. So I began to use the card under the verbal agreement that we had made. Ms. Peterson got her statement in mid-January. I asked her what the amount was she going to send that to me? She said no, because of the fact that she had made a charge in December herself. She'd go ahead and take care of that payment. She said, but then when the rest of my charges became evident in the February bill, that I would begin to be responsible for it. In February, as agreed, she mailed me the payment, and I have proof of that because I sent in a money order to make that payment.
Your Honor, may I say something, please?
Go ahead.
After Ms. Peterson reviewed that statement, and I sent a copy of it to her, of the statement itself, along with a copy of the money order to her in the mail as proof that I had indeed made that payment. Then came February, and she received a statement, and she was very concerned by the growing balance. I told her, I said, I can understand that, but it just so happens that you and I have a different standard of the way that we live. I understand some of the things I might buy might appear expensive to you, but I'm expecting tax money. I'll definitely use some of that towards lowering the balance, and I will definitely honor our initial agreement. I don't in any way want to...
stick you.
Right, exactly. March came along. That's when Ms. Peterson, I think, she started to get really upset.
Well, just show me the rest of the payments that you made.
That's the only payment that I made successfully.
Why?
That was the only statement that she sent to me.
In February?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you make purchases in March?
Those actually, ma'am, were purchases that I had made in February that were on back order.
Then you cancel them. What are you, nuts?
No, honestly, ma'am, you're right. That's something she certainly could have done.
All right, Ms. Peterson, let me tell you what I think. I think you lied to me when you said she stole your card and you had no knowledge of the fact that she was using your card till you got these statements. Let me tell you why. Because if I got a statement in the month of January that showed unauthorized usage of my card, and since you weren't using the card at all, correct?
Correct.
Then you cut up the card, you call the company immediately, and you say, discontinue this card, I'm canceling this card, no further purchases are authorized. You didn't do that.
I did, Your Honor.
No. If you did that immediately, in January, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Then you are not responsible for these. If you canceled your card, and they continue to allow someone else to use it in an unauthorized way, you are not responsible.
When I called them in December, they told me that they had been trying to contact me because they had red flagged my card because of suspicious behavior. They had also told me that someone called up and got my card reactivated. Numerous times I called them and I canceled my card.
Do you know her mother's maiden name?
No, ma'am.
Do you know her social security number?
I don't know by heart, but I did know it.
Good. Did you ever call to reinstate her card?
No, ma'am.
No. Ms. Peterson, what happened is that you let her use your card.
I did not.
Then if these are unauthorized charges on your account, and you did not give her permission, and you canceled your card, then you are not responsible for these.
That's what I told Bank of... However, they told me, because I told them that I knew who was making the charges, I said, I can direct you to the person who is fraudulently using my card. They said that it's a civil matter now and that I have to bring up the charges against her because they are not going to take them off.
No, that's not true. Call the police. Madam, if what you're telling me is that somebody stole your credit card and used your credit card without your permission, call the police and have her arrested. Simple as that. They're going to arrest her and you won't be out any money. You won't be out any money if what you're telling me is true. What you're telling me is true, correct?
Yes.
Right? You didn't give her permission to use your card.
No.
You're sure of that?
I'm positive.
Then you don't have anything to worry about. Call, have her arrested for grand larceny. You are not responsible for the payments because you did, in fact, cancel your card.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. Then we have nothing to worry about. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. How you doing, Judge?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's case number 95 on the calendar in the matter of Raymond versus Holmes. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Raymond, you and the defendant were involved in a romantic relationship and decided to lease an apartment together. The defendant moved out sometime during the lease, and you want her to be responsible for her half of the rental of the apartment. That's what
Yes.
the case is about. Ms. Holmes says, oh, she was sort of forced to move out. She'll explain that to me. When did you decide to lease this apartment together?
We leased the apartment February 5th, 2001. We were living previously at another apartment complex, but it was just strictly my name on the lease.
And what prompted you to rent this apartment together?
I was naive enough to think that we might be together for the rest of our lives and maybe start a family together one day, you know? And obviously I was wrong, and...
That's the end of the story. How much were you paying in the old apartment?
I was paying $685.
And how much was the rent on the new apartment?
$870.
What was the financial arrangement as far as the rent was concerned?
That we both pay half, and we were both paying half of electricity and telephone as well.
How many months did you live there together?
Together we lived there for 5 3/4 of a month.
Let's say 6 months.
6 months.
Now, it is correct, Ms. Holmes, that you were paying half the rent.
Yes.
When did you move out and why?
I moved out the beginning of the summer, probably end of July, beginning of August. Throughout our relationship, we had many of fights. It became abusive, not only verbally, but physically. And
when did it become physically abusive?
I have here, we both were arrested for breach of peace. We got into a fight. It was at the previous apartment that he lived at.
So you both were arrested for breach of the peace?
Yes.
When?
It was the day after Christmas in 2000.
Fine. Don't give me ancient history, Miss Holmes. After that happened, you moved into an apartment together, and you signed a lease. Were there any incidents of domestic violence between the two of you after you signed the lease in February of 2001?
In that residence?
Yes.
There was no actual police reports for
That
any.
doesn't answer my question.
There was violence.
Well, tell me about it.
It was just when we would argue, we would get into fights.
You would fight with each other?
Yes.
All right. With each other?
I would fight back because I'm a lot smaller, but there's only so much I can do to him.
All right. You would fight with each other?
To get him off of me. And
Miss Holmes, you'd fought with each other. Why did you move out? And make sure I get a legitimate answer, please.
Because I was afraid.
No.
I was sick.
No. That's not why you moved out. You may have thought you made a mistake and you didn't care for him anymore, but that's not why you moved out. You suddenly moved out.
I wanted to end the relationship.
Right. That sounds right.
I had had enough.
Fine. That sounds right. You didn't want to be with him anymore for whatever reason. Don't tell me what happened a year and a half before when you both were arrested for breach of peace. You didn't like him anymore. You wanted out. Did you have anybody else?
No.
Weren't dating anybody else?
No. I still to this day haven't dated anyone.
That's not the truth, Your Honor.
Just a second. Because that's what he believes in any event. All right. Now, when you moved out, what arrangements did you make with him with regard to the rent and regard to the lease?
I told him that I would pay him for the month after that I had moved out, just to be nice, to help him out, because I understood that it was a lot of money, and that after that he was on his own.
Did she have this discussion with you, Mr. Raymond?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Fine. She said she'd pay you 1 month when she wasn't there and then start looking for a roommate.
Matter of fact, she said she was going to help me out every month, not just 1 month, until it was over.
Did she pay you that 1 month?
At the end of August, yes, or beginning of August, August 1st, she did.
Okay. What kind of search did you do, sir, to find a roommate? Is not an answer.
I tried to find a roommate. My best friend was going to move into the house, but it was just a 1-bedroom, so it was very hard to live with somebody else as well as the dog that we both owned. Really, no one else could be around the dog except for me and her. And it was hard to find somebody to live with a dog that is not their owner.
Mr. Raymond,
yes.
She moved out a year ago.
Yes.
Are you still living in the apartment?
No, Your Honor.
When did you move out?
February 5th.
When your lease was up?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I moved in with my best friend.
And what's your rent?
$300.
So you did not attempt to get out of your lease?
I attempted to, but without the $350 lease breakage fee, which I have in the lease right here, they wouldn't let me even try to do it because she has to come up with $350 for the lease breakage fee, as well. She wrote a
Well,
letter.
she could have, listen to me, she could have, instead of giving you the $435, given them the $350 for the lease breakage fee. And then what would have happened to your rent?
I would have still been able to cover it, probably.
Okay. So instead of spending less money to break the lease, which she could have done, correct? She gave you more money for the month that she wasn't there.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me, Mr. Raymond, after a year, what brings you to court, sir?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Suddenly, when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone.
No.
Of course.
And later today,
we have a lot of strays.
Strays are not your problem. Your problem is your two cats.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joe Raymond says former live-in girlfriend Lindsay Holmes owes for breaking an apartment lease. Lindsay says she moved out because she was scared of Joe.
Go ahead.
What brings me to court is, well, we still have relation within this year. I mean, we still talk to each other. It was on and off for the past year. And she continuously told me, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to give you money. And I never received any money except for that one time in August. And I found out that she was seeing a Rocky Hill police officer. And I was very disturbed of that
When
fact.
did you find that out, sir?
I found this out 3 weeks after she moved out in August. That's one of the main reasons we stopped talking at that time.
That's still a year ago, so what brings you to court now?
To get the money that I feel as if I'm owed, because I owe money to the leasing agent, and
Why?
they still, because I lost my job in December and I was laid off just doing snow work removal, and I couldn't afford it, so now they're coming after both of us to get the money.
When did you stop paying rent, sir?
I paid September, October, November, December.
December rent was not paid.
Let me see. Oh, I see. You paid with a bad check in November.
But it was...
Sir, so it's 2 months' rent that you did not pay.
Yes, but I had talked to the rental agent and I had explained them my situation, and they worked with me the best they could.
I have to find, Mr. Raymond, that there was some reason for her not to break this lease, which she could have done for a lot less money than she gave you for the period of time when she was there. For $350, she could have gotten her name off this lease and not been responsible at all. So I must assume that you wanted to stay in that apartment. Now, the difference is really negligible between what you were paying in your own apartment and this apartment. You were paying that yourself.
She was living there as well, but her name wasn't on the lease and she was helping me.
Helping you is not paying. You didn't take that apartment with the idea that she was going to be paying half the rent.
No.
The first apartment.
I had
right?
I had a lawsuit that I was given, and I had a lot of extra money. And then suddenly when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone. Of course.
No.
It's the way it works.
Got to take care of your own expenses, sir. I think that she gave you every opportunity to fill in the apartment with somebody else for the next couple of months. She tried to do the right thing. She could have just as easily gotten herself totally off the hook by spending a lot less money.
It was still hard for me to find somebody to live with. And
get over it.
All right.
Should have tried harder. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's attacked me before. I have a criminal court case pending right now against him.
I'm definitely not a dangerous man.
Now, this is case number 396 on the calendar in the matter of Salinas Darabiji versus O'Shea. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
All right, who's going to speak?
I will.
Tell me your name.
Jennifer, Your Honor.
This is one of your dogs, and
Yes.
according to your complaint, you had two. They were both the same breed.
Right.
And unfortunately, one of your dogs was killed by the defendant's dog.
Right.
You want him to be responsible for you securing another dog, which in your case involved flying out to a breeder, because that's where you got that dog from, and purchasing another dog.
Right.
The defendant says that your dog was off the leash at the time that his dog attacked yours, which I don't think he denies. You don't deny that your dog attacked her dog. And he is counterclaiming because he said that while at the vet, you attacked him and assaulted him, and he is counterclaiming. Tell me about your dog.
Well, she's beautiful.
No,
She-
no, I
5
beautiful. I
pounds.
know. Beautiful.
Yeah,
I know. When did you
absolutely.
get her? Where did you get her from?
Oh, I got her from Tampa, Florida.
Where do you live?
Sherman Oaks. And I researched over 50 breeders, both locally, you know, obviously for me, you know, very far. It didn't matter. You know, I knew that I wanted one.
When did you get the dog?
In the year 2000.
And it was also a Pomeranian?
Yes.
Now, did you travel on both occasions to get
Yes.
the dogs to Tampa?
Yes, to Tampa.
The breeder will not send the dog to you?
Not that small. She does have bigger dogs, but because they are bred down to be so little, I mean, when you pick them up, they're about 8 ounces. So they're very small, and to go underneath cargo is unacceptable for anyone.
So she insists that you come and pick them up?
Absolutely.
All right, tell me about the unfortunate incident involving Mr. O'Shea's dog. Your neighbors, I assume?
Yes. And I was not there, thank God.
Okay, you were, who was?
Me, Your Honor.
Your
My
last
name is
name?
Ray Darbiji.
Do you live together?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me what happened, sir.
Well, it was July 18th. My brother and I took out the girls, you know, just like every other night.
The girls, you mean the two little
Yeah,
girls?
yeah. And we placed them on the grass, and no longer than we put them on the grass, his 2 dogs came out of nowhere, and I immediately yelled at Rod to grab Princess, and she just kind of...
She knew that
Yeah,
the dogs were going to attack her.
She knew something was going to happen, so she really, you know, crept down. Rod scooped her up. That's my brother. And I tried to go after Prissy. That's the one that was deceased. And she was running away from him. And, you know, she had 2 pit bulls. You know, one was trying to, you know, get me, and the other one was going after Prissy. And...
Okay, so Mr. O'Shea's dogs came out of his house?
We don't know where.
Yeah,
Where did they come out of, sir?
They came out of my apartment door.
Okay.
They
Just
weren't
a
pit bulls, by the way.
What are they?
They're mixes.
They're much larger. Were you
Oh, yeah,
home?
they're definitely larger.
Were you home?
Yes, I was.
How did your dogs get out, Mr. O'Shea?
Well, I was actually leaving the apartment, and I have a screen door, like a security screen door, which they can see through. And their dogs were at the end of my driveway. And our apartments are very close together. And my dogs apparently saw them, and I didn't realize they were out there. But as I went to go leave my apartment, my dogs slipped past me and ran down the driveway to go, as far as I know, to go play with the dogs. They didn't go out to attack the dogs. They're not attack dogs or wild dogs.
Well, they
or
killed one of
anything
your
of that
dogs.
nature.
Killed one of the dogs. So
Right.
you are responsible.
Just by nature of the size.
You are.
difference.
What makes you think that you are not responsible?
For one thing, it's a legality that you have to have your dogs on leash. for
That
one
doesn't.
thing.
That
It
has,
doesn't
listen to
change-
me. Listen to me, Mr. O'Shea. The proximate cause of the death of her dog was not that it was off the leash.
Well, when
The
animal control came
cause-
over, animal
the
control
cause-
came to my
I'm
apartment.
speaking. My mouth is moving. The cause of her dog dying is because her dog was attacked by your dog that was off the leash.
Correct. So,
Her dog did not attack your dog. Your dog attacked her dog.
well, actually, her dog ran up to my dog, so obviously there's a size differential there. So, well, I'm not saying that her dog attacked
Explain
my
to
dog.
me how that happened, Mr. O'Shea.
Well, my dogs ran up to their dogs ran up to mine, and a fight ensued between my bigger dog and one of their little dogs.
I don't believe you, Mr. O'Shea. That's a lie.
How-
That's a lie.
What part of
That's a lie. What part is a lie? Part that is a lie is that their dogs ran up to your dogs. Your dogs ran to theirs, ran out behind you
They definitely ran
because they saw 2 other dogs there. Your dog ran out and ran up to plaintiff's dog. They didn't come together.
Well, my dogs ran out, but their dogs definitely came towards my dogs. Dogs aren't usually stationary objects.
I'm
so-
sorry, Your Honor. My dog ran for her life.
Listen to me, madam. You weren't
Sure.
there, so don't interfere.
Okay.
I don't believe him.
Okay.
Can I say
I don't believe
something?
him. Can
I
you
say
what?
Something? My name is Veronica Rodarte. I'm the witness. I'm his roommate.
Come on.
Basically, every time that I'm out there with Junior or Oakley, there's been several occasions where her dogs do run up to my dogs, and they are on.
Were you there on the 18th of July?
No, I wasn't. But
Good.
the fact,
Sit down.
Does that change the fact that her dogs were off leash and that they're always off leash?
and that they
Let me
run
explain
up
something to you. The
That's proof.
problem, Mr. O'Shea, is that the dog was not killed because it was off the leash. The dog was killed because your dog was off the leash.
Right.
The reason that her dog died is because your dog was not in control. Not in control by its owner. That's you. You are totally, completely, 100% responsible the same way, Mr. O'Shea, as if your dog ran up to a child that was not being supervised by a parent and bit it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have limited patience with people that won't accept responsibility, Mr. O'Shea.
Well, animal control said that.
I don't care what animal control said. You think animal control has more degrees than I do?
And later today.
What kind of problems was your son having with Mr. Atkinson?
They argued constantly.
He argued with a 5-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Salinas and her boyfriend, Ray Darabiji, are suing neighbor Sean O'Shea for the cost of a Pomeranian puppy and punitive damages. The couple says Sean's dogs killed their pet.
Your dog killed her dog because your dog wasn't in your custody and control.
But the dog was on my driveway, on my property.
That's, just a second, you didn't even see her dog when you, because that's what you just said to me. You said, I didn't even see her dog until I got outside.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Oh, yes, you did.
Well,
that's
okay,
what you
so I'm
said.
inside my apartment.
No, that's what you
Okay.
said. You said, I didn't even see her
But the
dog.
second I stepped out of my apartment, I'm obviously seeing the dogs and my dogs. So I don't think I'm lying here. I think you're
Mr. O'Shea, yes, you were, because you said, I didn't even see her dog, and all I saw was my dog scooting out.
How long does it take somebody to walk outside their apartment door?
Mr. O'Shea, you are 100% responsible. It's your dog. It's a big dog capable of causing injury. That dog has to be within your control all the time. If it's not, you are responsible. That's my law. Now let's get to your counterclaim, and then I'll get to the amount of money that it's going to cost to
Can I say
replace
one
that
quick
dog.
thing? One quick
No,
thing?
let's get to your counterclaim.
Okay.
I have limited patience with people that won't accept responsibility, Mr. O'Shea.
Well, animal control said that.
I don't
had
care what
limited
animal control said.
responsibility,
You think animal control has more degrees than I do? Now let's move on to
probably
your
know
counterclaim.
exactly what they're
Let's
doing.
move on to your counterclaim, sir. If the animal control had more degrees than I do, they'd be a judge and I'd be animal control. Now let's move on. Let's get to your counterclaim.
So,
I'm ready.
Anyways, I arrive at the vet's office. My roommate James got out of the car with me. When I walked up, she was hysterical and crying and standing with a friend of hers a little ways down. And I talked with the plaintiff's brother. They told me that what the bill was, and I said, you know, I'd like to pay for that. And I wrote them a check right then.
Good.
And when Jennifer came close to us, she saw my roommate and, for whatever reason, assumed that he was the owner of the dogs. And she was pretty hysterical. At this point, she had already fallen on the sidewalk several times and was crying hysterically and screaming. And she attacked my friend, James.
How did she attack James?
Well, she ran up to him, screaming and saying various things about her dog dying. And with closed fists, started hitting him in the head, in the face and neck. And James, to his credit, put his hands up and just stood there and didn't do anything. And this went on for about 25 seconds until somebody pulled her off of him. At which point, somebody, I guess, explained to her that they weren't James's dogs, but they were my dogs. At which point she came after me. And she started hitting me about the face and neck with closed fists. And I also raised my hands to protect myself because she swings pretty good.
Okay, Ms. Salinas, let me hear about it.
I'm not going to deny what I had done, but I was nuts.
Ms. Salinas, that's no excuse.
No, these dogs.
That's absolutely no excuse.
No, there is not. You're absolutely right. And the next day, I called him. My girlfriend that I was down the street with, I was holding her so tight, I left my nail marks in her back.
Ms. Salinas.
No, I understand. I called him the next day, and I said, Sean, excuse me, he did not call me. My dog is dead. I saw what I had done. I took responsibility for, I realized then what I had done. I took responsibility for what I did. I called Sean and I said, Sean, please excuse my behavior from last night. I would never react that way. These are my little girls. These are my life. Please understand that. And he said, Jennifer, I understand. I would never, expect anything less than that. And he,
Ms. Salinas.
To be attacked?
Yeah, that's exactly
what
you said. You understood, Sean.
I understand somebody being upset about losing their dog.
No, I agree that
But
this unacceptable behavior. I do agree with you 100%.
You have photographs of your injuries, sir?
No, I don't actually.
No, of course, because he had no injuries.
How much did you pay for the dog, Ms. Salinas?
$1,200.
You have the bill? You purchased the dog in August of 2002?
That's correct. This is for our new dog that we just, I borrowed the money from my parents to.
You purchased a new dog. This is for a new dog that you purchased.
That's for the new dog.
How much was the dog that was killed?
$1,200.
$1,200.
Yes, ma'am. It's the same amount.
Do you have a receipt
same
for that?
breeder.
I believe that that's probably true. Beautiful animal.
Thank you.
And the plane ticket was how much?
$800.
You have a receipt for that?
Yes.
Can I see it, please?
Since my parents paid for my ticket, I don't have my receipt, but his, which we obviously flew the same flight, so we had a problem getting her copy.
There you go.
These are all the other.
These are all the other receipts.
For what?
For the rental-car over in Tampa.
No, not to mention the, after Priscilla died, we had her cremated.
Delta Airlines. I have $408.
Right, and for his ticket. And then I don't have a copy of my mother's credit
Well,
card.
what's $800?
For both of our tickets.
You don't both have to go and get the dog.
Well, it's our dog. We wanted to pick her out together.
Listen, Miss Salinas, he's not paying for you going as a couple.
Fine.
That's $1,600. That's for the dog and your plane ticket. Now, Mr. O'Shea, did you seek medical attention for
No,
any
I
of your
didn't.
injuries? Did you have any marks as a result of the injury?
I did have bumps on my head, yeah.
I think that you should be compensated for that. I think that Miss Salinas can't say, I was so upset. She's an adult. She's an adult gal. She can't say, I was so upset. I was overcome by the moment, and therefore I am entitled to assault you. She's not entitled to assault you.
Absolutely not. I agree.
Well, Mr. O'Shea, how much do you think that that assault was worth?
To me, $2,000 seemed fair.
Really? Were you planning on suing her?
No, I wasn't.
Well, then why, from not planning to sue her, to $2,000?
Because when things turned ugly, because I didn't have her arrested because I didn't want to handle it that way. And when I found out that I was being sued, I felt I should protect myself to the best of my ability. And I already felt that I'd pretty much let her, I mean, the only person that committed a crime here was her.
That's true. So I think that the airfare that she spent getting her dog is going to be her responsibility. So I'm deducting $400. That's your responsibility, which ordinarily you would have gotten. But the cost of the dog you're going to get. Judgment for the plaintiff, because I'm deducting that amount. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200, which is the cost of a new pet. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She is a liar because when I did call him the next day, I did apologize, and he said, Jen, don't worry about it. I understand.
He's my next door neighbor, and I really didn't want to cause a really ugly situation.
I just think it's ironic that if he felt he was assaulted, that he filed his countersuit or counterclaim
3 days ago.
We're still neighbors, but I don't think we're going to be too neighborly.
Goodbye.
Your Honor, this is case number 220 on the calendar in the matter of Akins versus Jenkins. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Akins, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for about a year and a half.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. We lived together like 6 months.
You were together for a year and a half.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of that year and a half relationship, 6 months was spent living together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then things didn't work out. You broke up, and you said that you had an agreement with the defendant that she had owed you some money and you would owed her some money, and you decided to leave some of your things there and to forgive certain other things that she had damaged of yours, and she would forgive all the bills that you owed her. You just go your separate ways.
Yes, Your Honor.
But what Miss Jenkins did was she took you to small claims court.
That's correct.
For the bills that you owed her. And you claim she did that in violation of your agreement.
Yes, Your Honor.
So now you want her to pay for the things that you claim she owes you for.
Yes, Your
Is
Honor.
that right? And I've read your answer, Miss Jenkins, and I know I'm paraphrasing. This is not really what you said, but it's pretty much what you said. You said, grow up.
Pretty much.
Right.
Pretty much.
So, Mr. Jenkins, let's start with the things that you claim she owes you.
All right. First of all, Your Honor, the things I'm suing for is the TV that I purchased from Miss Jenkins when we first got together. And,
Okay, TV.
Yes.
Now, when did you purchase the TV?
About 2 months into the relationship, Your Honor.
Before you were living together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about how that came about.
Well, first of all, Your Honor, we was dating. And, Ms.
You were
Jenkins-
dating,
Yeah. Ms.
and
Jenkins-
one day you bought a TV.
No, I bought it for her because she was in financial need. She didn't have a TV in her apartment. And so, me being her friend and boyfriend, I looked out for her and got her a television set.
As a gift?
No, as a loan. She promised to pay me back the money for the television set.
When did you buy her the television set?
December of 2000.
Around Christmas time?
No, I think after Christmas, about close to the New Year, Your Honor. This wasn't a Christmas gift.
Did she go shopping for it with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the TV.
It's a Panasonic 27-inch.
Was there an agreement to pay him back for the TV?
No, ma'am. He bought it for me because he bought it because I didn't have a television. A couple of friends had let me borrow a television, but he said that he would get me a television, and it was before Christmas. It was December 2000, before Christmas.
Okay. Now, from December of 2000, Mr. Akins, until the time you broke up, which was when?
Beginning of May, Your Honor.
Long time. Did she make any payments on this loan for the television?
She gave me $50 after that initially, and then she also had other expenses, like she used to get her car towed all the time.
No, you're not paying attention to me. Don't try to get ahead of me. Mr. Akins, do you think that you think that I'm going to forget my question?
Oh, no, Your Honor.
I'm not that old, sir. Did she make regular payments to you after December of 2000?
Yes, Your Honor. She gave me $50, Your Honor.
When?
She gave me about 2 months afterwards.
Is that right?
No, I didn't give
Get
you
out
any
of
money
here.
for
He
the
doesn't even
television.
remember. What did you have for lunch yesterday?
Your Honor, she did make the payment. She gave me a payment on the television.
Good.
set.
She made a $50 payment 2 months after that.
Yes.
And what about the rest of the money?
And it never came up again, Your
Never
Honor.
came up again, and then you moved in together.
Then we moved in together,
And did you
Your Honor.
both watch the 27-inch Panasonic?
No, that TV was in her bedroom, Your Honor. Later on, she bought me a television set, and then after we broke up, she wanted me to pay her back for the television set. So as we was breaking up, I said, well, why would I pay you back? I bought you a television set for $400, and you never gave me a dime for it. We had an agreement during that time that everything was split even.
You are just going to continue to go your way, and I'm telling you that I control my space.
I understand.
So I have questions. When I finish with my questions, if I need any more information, I'll ask you, Mr. Akins.
I understand, Your Honor.
So that's one thing that you're suing for, the TV.
Yes.
Right? That was purchased before you moved in together.
Yes, Your Honor.
What else?
A mixer and a crock
mixer.
pot.
Tell me about the mixer.
The mixer I bought at Best Buy for the defendant, for our household goods, because we were together. So I bought it for the household. And the crock pot for her, Your Honor, because she wanted it.
A mixer.
A mixer, a
And how
$200 mixer.
$200 mixer. What about the crock pot?
Crock pot was like $50. I have prices right here from Best Buy.
I don't want the price from Best Buy. I want your paid bills.
Well, I don't have the bills, Your Honor. They were left at her house, at her residence right now.
I have the receipts. I have the receipts.
Whose name are they? His?
No, my name. My credit card name is on the receipts.
Let me see.
The bills weren't paid in the credit card. It was paid through me, through my employee discount for the crock pot and the mixer. She didn't purchase the crock pot and the mixer.
Ma'am, we both work at Best Buy, so it was both of us have the same.
Power stand mixer was $39.60. Where do you get $200, sir?
The mixer is worth $200. The judge told me I have to come back. When I went to small claims court, I had to sue for the original price of the mixer.
Let me ask you a question, sir. If you want to go to small claims court and go before some person who told you that you're entitled to $200 if you're successful on something that you paid $30 for, I think you ought to go and find her. That doesn't happen here. Even if I found that you bought this thing and that you were entitled to it, you could go to you still work for Best Buy?
Yes.
Go there and spend another $30 and get another mixer. Why would I give you $200? You're just annoyed because she won a judgment against you. That's why she said, grow
no, Your
up.
Honor.
Me too.
I'm not annoyed because...
Then we have a crock pot, which you said was $50, which was $14.
14. I haven't seen these receipts.
Yes, ma'am.
$14.70.
I haven't seen these receipts.
He never seen a receipt because I purchased it.
No. Show him the receipts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There was no verbal agreement.
We lived together for 2 years, and you telling me we had a verbal agreement. We were together.
Speak not!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Elmer Aiken says ex-girlfriend Tiffany Jenkins owes for property she either stole or destroyed. Tiffany says Elmer needs to grow up.
What else do you claim she owes you for, Mr. Akins?
On 2 occasions, the defendant came into my apartment before we lived together and destroyed my personal property.
Okay, just a second. I read that. You said that was sometime in October?
Yes.
And then you moved in together?
Yes.
Why did you move in together?
Well, she came to me with a sad story, talking about, oh, we had scheduled to move in together, this and this and that. Oh, I can't afford to move in together.
What's this and this and that?
I can't afford to move and get a place on my own. So I was like, okay, we can reconcile, we can get back together, and we can try to make this work.
Very good. Then you forgave her all the things that she allegedly broke when you had...
No, I didn't. We never talked about it, Your Honor.
You never talked about it?
That's what came at the end.
Why do you expect me to talk about something that happened 2 years ago
this is where I'm coming to, Your Honor, with the agreement at the end.
Mr. Akins, don't try to talk over me. Now I've got the drill. You want the things that she allegedly broke, and then you want the mixer and the crock pot, receipts for which she has that are in her name, that all amount to maybe $40. Then you want a TV that you purchased for her before you were living together 2 years ago. Now you're going to explain to me about your agreement.
And I also want for a rider bill. I moved in her stuff out of her old apartment into the new apartment, and I also pay people to move her. I have the rider bill right here, if you want to look at it, Your Honor.
I don't. It's not even in your complaint. It's not in your complaint.
Well, I have to take that up later.
You can't take that up later, Mr. Akins. I'm going to tell you why. Because you have one opportunity to file all claims that surround the same incident. You can't pick and choose and say, well, I'm going to sue her today for the mixer, tomorrow for the crock pot, the next day for the television, and then 2 weeks from now I'm going to sue her for the TV, because that is called harassment.
Well,
that's called harassment.
Well, Your Honor, she sued me.
Shh. Listen to me. So, if you didn't include it in this claim, this rider bill, that claim is forever over. I want you to understand that. Now you can tell me why her suing you and what she sued you for caused you to file this lawsuit.
Well, at the end of the relationship, she said I owe her money for a television set that she purchased for me. During the time that we was living together, she moved in one of her best friends into our apartment. Her friend was supposed to pay me $400 for back rent. I said, we could do this. She won't have to pay me the $400. She verbally told me she was going to give me and give it to you, and we'll be settled, and the whole thing will be over. After that agreement, she got with me, and I say, okay, I'll pay her back for the television set that she purchased for me just to get her out of my life. Later on, a week later, I get a summons that I'm getting sued for the same television set that I'm paying for, and the back rent, even though we had a verbal agreement from the inner relationship that the whole thing would be over, and that we each other would get on with our lives.
Was that clear as a bell to you?
I have no idea what this man is talking about.
I don't either.
It's
all complicated, Your Honor. It's all complicated.
Oh, I know.
But all I know is we had a verbal agreement that bygones would be bygones.
It's like the Treaty of Versailles. Miss Jenkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything you want to say to me?
Okay, there was no verbal agreement after, when I went to camp.
Your Honor, we lived together for 2 years, and you telling me we had no verbal agreement. Well, we lived together for 6 months. We were together.
Speak not! Listen to me. You bought the crock pot?
Yes, ma'am.
That's here. You bought the mixer?
Yes, ma'am.
That's here. I'm not interested in things that you may have broken before you moved in together. He forgave those things because I assume that after you moved in together, quiet! That after you moved in together, you did share a bedroom, did you not?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did share a bed, did you not?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Somebody gets angry because you broke their best Baccarat crystal, then you don't share a bed together and get up in the morning and say, you're going to pay me for that glass tomorrow, remember. That doesn't usually happen, so forget about that. Now, as far as the television is concerned, I don't find that that was a loan.
No, ma'am, it wasn't.
But I'm just curious. He says there was another television set purchased. Who purchased it?
He purchased the television with my credit card. I came from out of town, and he had a sale auction at his store, and he went and bought the television for me. The television was,
You're talking about 2 years ago?
No, ma'am. The new television.
Okay.
He bought it with my credit card. I sent him to the store with my credit card to get it because I had drove 7 hours that day. I went to Cancun. When I came back, the television was gone. I asked him why he didn't take the television he paid for and leave.
That's not true, Your Honor. Shh. That's not true.
Shh. Just a second.
When I came back from Cancun, he was gone.
Oh, just a second. So he took the TV.
Yes, ma'am.
He took the TV that was purchased on your credit card that you are still paying for.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, I gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jenkins, I have a relatively good short-term memory. When we started this case, I said that Ms. Jenkins, in her answer, seems to be saying, why doesn't he just grow up and get on with his life?
Well, Your Honor,
I think that's a very good idea.
Well,
the
Your
case
Honor,
is dismissed. Grow up, get on with it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Don't sit there and drag somebody to court just because you have a grudge.
I looked out for her, but she screwed me in the end.
Just trying to be evil, that's all.
That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 362 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus DiBiaso. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Thomas, you and the defendants live on the same block?
We're relative neighbors, Your Honor. I
Okay.
drew a sketch of our neighbor.
Just listen.
Okay.
You live on the same block.
Yes.
How many houses apart?
About a half mile apart.
It is your claim the defendant's sons have these motorized bikes?
Yes.
And were riding up and down the street and had been at an excessive rate of speed.
Yes, they
you
were
have
doing
young children. I assume that this is one of your children. And on one particular day, after confronting the boys, one of them kicked your car, causing a dent.
Yes.
You want the defendant, father, mother, to pay for that, the damage to the car. Mr. and Mrs. DiBiaso say that, yes, it's true that one of their sons did kick your car, but it was only after you ran over his son.
That's ridiculous.
Shh.
Sorry.
Shh. Only after you ran over his son, breaking his foot, crushing his foot, that son kicked your car. That's
correct.
And they are countersuing for all of the medical bills and pain and suffering. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's what you say.
Yes.
So I want you two to sit down. And I want these boys to stand up. Put that down. I'm not interested in that right now. I'm not very good at those things. I'm good at finding out the truth. Who kicked the car?
It was me, Your Honor.
Perfect. Your name?
Chris.
What kind of a motorized bike were you riding that day?
1999 Yamaha 125.
And when did you get it?
I got it 2 days prior to when this took place.
Had you had a bike before that?
Several years before that.
Now, you knew Mr. Thomas from before, is that right?
I've never actually met him. I've seen him.
But you've seen him?
Yes.
You knew he was a neighbor?
Yes.
What day did you get the bike?
I think it was the 2nd of, I believe, August.
And what day did you break your foot?
2 days after, so it would be the 4th.
And when for the first time did Mr. Thomas ask you to drive slower when going up and down the street?
He had never asked me to drive slower.
Is that correct?
Prior to this day, I had not. And this day was August 1st when all this happened.
So you had to have gotten the bike before that, sir.
Okay, I'm not
July
completely...
30th.
July
It was
30th.
July 30th.
Okay. Now, let's go to August 1st. You and your brother are both riding your bikes?
Yeah, me and him had rode down...
Is that right?
Yes.
When did Mr. Thomas, for the first time that day, tell you to slow down?
He had not told us to slow down at all.
Ever?
Ever.
Okay. So I get to Mr. Thomas. You want to tell me your version of what happened on the 1st of August?
Yes, it was about 8 o'clock at night. These boys had been riding up and down the street. It seemed like a few hours. And like I said, there had been prior history where my kids couldn't go out and ride their bikes on the street, so...
No. Slowly. Mr. Thomas, don't lose me. You said there'd been a prior what?
The prior times when they'd been riding their bikes up and down in front of our house.
You mean the day before that, perhaps?
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So that evening, I'd had enough of it, so I drove my car out onto the street. We have a large 1-acre yacht, so I drove my car out onto the street to stop them, to get their attention, to tell them they need to slow down if they need to. They have to go past our house to get to where the dirt roads are. So I wanted them to slow down and talk to them. They didn't stop. They split. They went around my car, and they stopped about 100 feet farther down, which is where my driveway was. So I drove down to them, and I started to get out of the car. Chris's motorcycle was right next to my door, and he was on it. And I said, you guys have got to stop this. I've got small kids. You can't go by here that fast. He used some expletives.
Tell me what he said. I've heard everything.
He said, this is our street. We can do whatever we want.
No.
We can.
Listen, I want you to be quiet. You weren't there. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. That sounds about right.
He said,
Go ahead.
We can do whatever we want, and you can't stop us. I was very angry, and I said, you've got to stop this. I've got small kids. I don't want you doing this. I'm going to go down and tell your parents. And I got back in my car. He drove his motorcycle around behind me. I went to back up, and I was just going to say, all right, enough. They took off. And I went about a foot, and I saw that he hadn't come around behind me, so I stopped the car. Okay, I looked out the back, and he was standing up and lifting his motorcycle up.
So he was behind you and you knocked his motorcycle down?
Well, after talking to my wife, no, he had laid his motorcycle down behind me. There was a small scratch from his tire on the bumper of my car, and I have photographs of that, which shows that there was very minor damage to my car, so there could not have been significant damage to him.
I don't know
or
whether there
his
was
motorcycle.
significant damage or not,
Right.
but
I did
clearly
bump
your
him with my
car
car.
came in contact
Yes.
with his motorcycle.
Yes.
Now, my question is, was it the back of your car that came in
Yes.
contact with his motorcycle or
Yes,
the
it
front
was.
of your
The
car?
back bumper.
Is that right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Now, stop there. You want to tell me how the back of his car came into contact with your bike?
Me and my brother had rode down the street going towards Mr. Thomas's house because our friend lives at the end of the street, which is the dirt road where we usually ride at. We found out he wasn't home, and on the way back, we were going down the shoulder of the road, and he comes blaring out of his driveway in a matter of what I suspected to try to knock me off my motorcycle. I had swerved to miss him, and I ended up in the middle of the street. He had drove around me. I got up, started my bike again. As I started to take off, he backed his car over me, looked at me and said, "That's what you get."
But just a minute. Are you telling me that he never said to you, you got to slow down?
Your Honor, he never said one word to us.
Is that right?
That is correct.
When his car hit your bike, you say it knocked it over?
It knocked it over and it put my foot underneath his tire.
It's not physically possible.
No, that didn't happen.
Something.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You almost had me. You almost had me, Christopher. But I'm telling you right now, if you lie to me about something, and I don't care what you told them or what you decided to testify to today, I don't care. You almost had me. But if you lie to me, then I don't believe anything that you say.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was in my face with his finger.
He was mad. He had it.
He got in his car and had threatened my dad to a fight.
He's too old for me to deal with. He's already cooked. You're not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ken Thomas says neighbor 15-year-old Christopher DiBiaso kicked a dent into the side of his car. Christopher says Ken ran him over and broke his foot.
Listen, he was, up until a moment ago, in my mind, not telling me the truth. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
About not having a discussion with you. Now, he knocked your bike down with his car.
Yes.
And what did you do next?
After he pulled forward to get me so I could get up, I picked my bike up, pushed it to the side of the street, started up, and proceeded home.
So you got on your bike.
Yes.
You put your feet on the pedals.
It's Kickstarter and pegs, yes.
You put your feet on the pedals.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you drove the bike home.
I rode the bike home.
And then what happened?
I limped in the house to get my dad, and my dad came out to ask the guy what his problem was, and he was in my face with his finger all over my dad's face. He got in his car and had threatened my dad to a fight and drove away.
When did you kick the car?
As he was driving away, Your Honor.
Now, my question to you, sir, what foot did you kick his car with?
My left foot.
And you injured your right foot?
I injured my right foot.
So you were standing on your fractured foot, is that right?
That is correct.
You put all your weight on your fractured foot in order to kick his car with the other foot.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. See? If you tell me the whole truth, he's too old for me to deal with. You see, he's already cooked. He's cooked. You're not. I believe that you broke your foot. I believe that you broke your foot when you kicked his car. That's what I believe. That doesn't excuse him from tearing out, which I believe he did. And I don't believe he tried to knock you over because that would be stupid. But he was mad and he had it. And he has a temper, and that's what happens when you have a temper. And I believe that the bike went down. I don't believe that your foot was under his car. I believe that the bike went down, but not with you on it. Can I see a picture of the dent?
Yes. There's several pictures of the overall car. It's not a small dent.
Oh, this is not a small dent. This is enough of a dent to break your foot.
Yeah.
Christopher. So I'm disposing of your counterclaim very fast because I don't believe that your foot was broken in any other way but kicking his car. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Clear? Now, the only thing that I have to determine is whether or not you caused this damage to his car. No question you did. There's no question you did.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay, how old are you? 15?
15.
And you? 14? Let's talk about when you have a motorcycle or a moped or whatever else it is that goes fast.
Okay.
And let's talk about being responsible. You see that child over there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What do you think would happen if you hit that child while she was playing in the street when you were going up and down the street with your motorcycle?
I would feel terrible.
No, what do you think would happen to her?
She would get hurt extremely bad.
Right. Now, how old do you have to be in order to get a driver's license in the state of California?
16, Your Honor.
So that neither you nor your brother can get a driver's license. Is that right?
That's correct.
There is a reason why the state imposes certain restrictions on people having the ability to have a machine that can cause serious injury. And that is because children at age 14 and 15 lack judgment. You put a 14-year-old on a machine that can go, how fast can your bike go?
Probably about 65 miles an hour.
65 miles an hour, and they got all this testosterone, and they got all this puberty stuff going on, and they got all this hormone stuff going on, and they have no other way to take it out, so they take it out on the road. Well, if you're going to entrust a machine that can go 65 miles an hour to your children, then you have to be prepared for the consequences. If you want to give them a machine that can go 65 miles an hour, then you put the machines in a truck and you take them to a deserted area that is not residential, where they can drive, and there aren't other children, and there aren't other dogs, and there aren't people, and there aren't anybody else that they can frighten. And if you choose not to do that, then you are responsible. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Let me see the estimate to the damage to your car, please.
That is one of these right here.
You have a $500 deductible?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Consider yourself lucky.
Okay.
Really, consider yourself lucky. You broke your foot because you got mad. And you said to me you got angry because he was threatening my father. Right? Isn't that what you said?
Not only that, the fact that he had hit me with his car without even an attempt to try and ask me to stop, to do anything. He just figured he'd take it out with his car on me.
You think that he hit you with his car on purpose?
I believe he did.
That would be pretty stupid. That would be pretty stupid. You think that if you hit his daughter, that would have been an accident?
Yes, that would have been
an accident.
Yes.
Tragedy. Okay. Now, how fast were you going that day?
Probably about 30 miles an hour.
Was there any time during the day that you were going faster than 30 miles an hour?
Your Honor, I held
Answer
it
my
was
question.
not, Your Honor.
No, only 30 miles an hour.
Only 30 miles an hour.
30 miles an hour is pretty fast. It's faster than you can go on a bicycle if you're that age. Your parents have to feel that you're responsible enough. The state of California doesn't believe you're responsible enough to drive a vehicle that can go 65 miles an hour. I wouldn't give a bike like that to one of my kids who was 15. If you choose to do that, you pay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700 as requested. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Unfair. Completely unfair.
I think Judge Judy saw straight through the truth.
I hope the next boy he runs over is as lucky as my son to be able to walk away.
There's no way that he got his foot broken and then kicked my car.
There's other kids in our neighborhood that ride their dirt bikes, and if he stopped my son like that, he's going to stop the next kid like that.
There are some other boys that ride the bikes, and they do it slow, reasonable, responsible speeds.
His wife works at the school district. She's been to both of my son's school making harassing comments regarding my boys.
Their son has been threatening my son at school.
We were perfectly at speeds in order to correct ourselves.
I have little kids, and there had been too many times. It was late at night, it was 8 o'clock at night, and I'd had enough.
If his daughter would have ran in front, we could have stopped instantly.
This father I can see where the kid gets his attitude from.
Well, hopefully they'll just leave my kids alone.
Parents need to be responsible for their kids' actions.
Now, this is case number 183 on the calendar in the matter of Sanzano versus West.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Sanzano, you and the defendant had a relationship, an on-again, off-again one, according to your complaint, for some period of time. During that time, you moved in together, perhaps once or twice. You claimed that you furnished the apartment. She had you thrown out of the apartment. She kept the furniture. You want the furniture back or its value. That's what your claim is.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant said that the furniture was purchased as a couple, and she is counterclaiming for a car that you allegedly took that belonged to her and for assaulting her 5-year-old son.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's have the story of the furniture first, because that's your claim.
Over about a year and a half ago, I met Lisa. We got into a relationship. We moved into an apartment after 6 months. At that time, I had a lot of furnishings. I had, electronics, and I had, quite a bit of furniture.
Where had she been living?
She lived with her mother for a period of 3 years.
Was she living with her mother at the time that you met?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she living with her mother at the time you moved in together?
Prior to us moving in
Prior
together.
to your moving in together?
Yes.
Did she have any of her own furniture that she moved in with?
No, ma'am.
Go ahead.
At this time, the apartment did need some more things. It was a 3-bedroom apartment, so I went out and I did purchase those things solely.
What?
At that time, it was...
Look at me.
Yes. At that time, it was additional bedroom furniture.
For whom?
For the children's rooms.
How many children did she have?
She has 4 children.
How old are you?
26.
Do you have other children?
No,
Do you
ma'am.
have children of your own?
No, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Just other things were purchased, just to make, the apartment a complete home. Then after 4 months of living together in this apartment, we separated. I kept the apartment. I kept the furnishings. She kept some of the children's things that, were really for their specific use, not for my use at all. So then, after 3 months went by, I went on to another relationship, and she was seeing somebody else. And after 3 months went by, Lisa contacted me on numerous occasions and wanted to reconcile. And after a few conversations, we began seeing each other again. But then we moved in together. We lived there together in the second home for 4 months. And what had happened, Lisa was being treated for mental health issues, manic depression issues, okay? And she was on her medication. And she decided that she wanted to start drinking again, like, social drinking. And that affected, in my opinion, her treatment with the medication. And as a result, it ended up in disruptiveness in the home. She started to, get violent with me, physical with me. On the second occasion that occurred, I filed a police report rather than get violent back with her. 1 week went by. She decided that she wasn't going to come home anymore to the place where we were living. And she basically threatened me over the telephone from her mother's house, stating that I want the title to my car signed over to me, and I want you out. Otherwise, I'm going to have to file some false accusations against you to get you out through an injunction.
Why was the title to her car in your name?
Because I purchased the vehicle for her. Some of her monies were yes, included in that. Okay? I'll be very honest with you. Okay? But the total amount of the car?
You put in some money.
Yes, for the car purpose.
All right. How much was the car?
The car was $900.
And how much did you put in?
I put in $450.
And she put in the rest?
Yes.
Okay.
So that she would have a car to get to and from work.
Okay. What kind of work was she doing?
She's an administrative assistant for a glass company.
And who watches the children?
They go to daycare and they go to school, and we had them in summer programs during that time.
Okay. So you were put out of the house eventually.
What happened was, as a result of my filing of a police report against her, I went and proceeded to file for a domestic injunction. That was granted.
Let me see the papers, please, that you filed them when you made the report.
Okay. She then also...
Let me see. I can read dates.
Okay. That was the police report, ma'am. The copy of the injunction.
All right. Miss West, can I see the report that you filed with the police department?
That's it.
Judge, may I say something?
Yes.
Okay. To conclude the story, a week later, she did file such paperwork, which was out of due vindictiveness.
Listen to me, sir.
Yes.
You filed your police report on the 19th, according to the one you gave me.
Yes.
But you actually had the police come out on the 13th.
Yes.
Interesting enough. Very good. So you did call the police on the 13th.
Yes.
And I read what it said here, which says that when the police got there, you lost your temper and you were throwing things around the house. Is that right?
No, ma'am, I wasn't throwing things
Yes, you
around
were.
the house.
Yes, you were.
I was placing them on the floor because he's OCD, and I knew it would drive him crazy. There was nothing broke. There was nothing thrown in that
He's
house.
got OCD, so you were driving him crazy. What kind of medication do you take?
I've been released from the doctor, and I don't take it anymore.
What
but
kind
I
of
was-
medication were you taking
I
on the
was
13th
taking
of July?
Effexor.
And how long had you been on that medication?
2 months.
And during the time that you were taking that medication, I assume that your doctor who is licensed to practice medicine in the state of
Florida.
Told you that you were not to have anything of an alcoholic nature to drink. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were, in fact, drinking that night?
I had 1 beer.
I don't care whether you had 1 beer or whether you had a sip. You were drinking in violation of the doctor's direction. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were taking that medication for, let's call it, mood swings.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that the house was in a state of disarray, and that the plaintiff called the police and said, listen, I don't want her arrested, I just want things to calm down.
Exactly.
And the police came. That was on the 13th. All right. Then we have you reporting to the police on the 19th of July that an incident occurred on the 17th of July. That's after he made his report. Now, let's see. Now I'm reading what that says. So I like to read all these reports, Bert. You know why? And you got to read the dates. Very important to tell a story. But you know that already. You knew that.
I've learned from the best.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He assaulted your son, hit him with a belt. Is that right? How many times have you done that?
I've never left a bruise on any of my children. Not ever.
Get out of my sight.
And later today,
After I made a comment about his socks, telling him that his socks were dirty, he looked at me and he said, watch out now. Watch what happens to you now.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Anthony Sanzano says ex-girlfriend Lisa West won't return his furniture. Lisa says Anthony beat her 5-year-old son with a belt.
Mr. Sanzano, I want you to listen to me very, very carefully, sir. Did you ever hit any of Miss West's children? Look at me. Answer the question. Before I go further. And I will go further, so you might as well just get it all out now.
I have spanked the children at some point or another during the period of the year and a half.
And did you ever, when you spank the children, spank them with a belt?
No.
Did you ever spank the children with any object? Look at me. Very, very careful.
No.
Be very careful.
No, ma'am.
That I don't believe.
Okay.
That I don't believe. So let's go back again. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to redeem yourself, sir. Did you ever spank the children with an object?
I may have used a belt on 1 or 2 occasions.
Listen.
So does Miss West.
Mr. Sanzano, there isn't a question in my mind that Miss West has hit her children.
In fact, she kind of like showed me how we should discipline the children, because I'm new to this
Mr.
parental
Sanzano,
thing. Yeah.
there isn't a question in my mind that Miss West has beat her children.
Okay.
She knows it, and I know it. I feel sorry for these 4 children. I don't know where they are now. Where are they?
They're with my best friend.
Best friend that's with somebody you live with?
Yes, he's a roommate.
New boyfriend.
Hmm?
New boyfriend.
He's not my boyfriend.
It's the same man she saw the first time we separated.
Mr. Sanzano, we're talking here about some furniture? Mr. Sanzano, I want you to speak to me, sir. We're talking here about some furniture.
Yes, ma'am. Miss West got possession of the home that we both jointly had assets in.
She's still living there.
Yes, ma'am.
And some other guy is sitting on the couch that you bought, and some other guy is sitting in the chair that...
Yes, ma'am.
Sitting on some of your mother's stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
And the children are sleeping in the beds that you bought.
Yes, that's...
And you're 26 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got out scot-free.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't have a baby with her, right?
No, ma'am.
This is what if I could make an order, this is what it would be. That you step back 2 steps, you get down on your knees, and you kiss the ground, and you look up and you say, thank God, and you walk out of here. Mr. Sanzano, I'm going to tell you a couple of things, sir. You lived with this lady, and there's no way that I'm going to go and figure out which toaster belongs to who, and who paid for a couch, and who didn't. You decided to live with her twice without benefit of marriage. We don't have a court for people who live together. She had you thrown out of the apartment. She had you thrown out of the apartment for, at that time, good reason. You used excessive corporal punishment on one of her children.
I was not arrested nor charged.
I don't care whether you were arrested or charged. You used excessive corporal punishment on one of her children. That's not your place. You are not related to them. Even if you're related to them, you can't use excessive corporal punishment. One day, she's going to have her children removed from her custody. That's what's going to happen. If she uses excessive corporal punishment on her children and leaves her children with people who she shouldn't, eventually her children will either grow up to hate her or they'll be removed. But you're 26 years old. This is a lady who has 4 children. She's had a life experience. She has certain psychological problems. She's on medication. She's not handling the medication well. Just listen to this. She's not handling it well because she does things she's not supposed to do. She drinks and she takes the medication. You're 26, getting to be fully cooked, getting there. Right now, all you're out is a sofa. That's it, a sofa and maybe a VCR. You're not paying child support for the next 21 years. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Step back, kiss the ground, and say thank God. Now, you're suing him for a car that maybe you put in most of the money for. Is that right? Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You got all the furniture.
In the house.
Shh. Not the house. You didn't buy her a house. You rented an apartment. You got the furniture. Consider yourself lucky. You got a house full of furniture, a lot of which he bought. So what do you expect? You expect the money back from your car? Of course not. He assaulted your son, hit him with a belt? Is that right? How many times have you done that?
I've never left a bruise on any of my children. Not ever.
Get out of my sight. Your case is dismissed and so is your counterclaim.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's controlled my life for 2 years.
Somebody had to take head of the household, and so I did.
Make sure you know people before you fall in love with them and trust them.
The woman I met was unstable from the start.
It's over. I can walk away. It's done.
And I just knew she was lying. Stay away from Ryan.
Miss Ballou put me through hell for nothing.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Payton versus Preston. Step forward, please.
Bill Paith is suing his former live-in girlfriend, home health care worker Margaret Preston, for a $2,000 cell phone bill. Margaret is countersuing for the return of her property and for harassment.
Mr. Paith, according to your complaint, the defendant and her daughter moved into your home. And at some point, you put her on your cell phone. She was using a cell phone that you were responsible for. She and her daughter subsequently moved out, and she had accumulated several $1,000s in phone bills on the cell phone, and you believe she is responsible for those bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Preston says that there was never an agreement with regard to her repaying you for her cell phone use, and she has a counterclaim. She says that you kept some of her property when she moved out, and that you have embarked upon a campaign of harassing her. When and why did she and her daughter move in with you, sir?
We had, if you will use the term loosely, dated in the past. For approximately a year, she is married. She'd been talking on many occasions the past fall about leaving her husband. She wasn't happy. We had talked on a few occasions about maybe trying to get together, start dating. I told her a few times, I got a 4-bedroom house. I live in a good neighborhood. I'm a single guy. Move in with me. We'll see what happens.
Okay, continue, sir.
I got a U-Haul rental truck and moved her and her daughter into my house. This is December 21st, I believe. She was working some sort of home health care job. In the beginning of January, she made a comment. We felt it would be good. I agreed with her. She could use a cell phone for her job. She wasn't able to get one because of her credit. But I said, well, listen, we'll go out, we'll get you a cell phone. We'll put it under my name, my plan, because I already currently have one. What we need to do is you have to be able to pay for half the bill and anything above and beyond that. You use extra minutes, you're going to have to pay for that. I can't afford that stuff. She agreed. I went out, I bought her a $150 phone. January 9th, we had this plan started and purchased the phone. I had the phone shut off March 22nd. The phone bill was well over $2,000.
Can I see a copy of the phone bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you discuss the phone bill with her?
A number of occasions.
Is that right?
I had agreed to pay half, yes. But
You
I
did?
was only told about $1,000. And I have one bill here of $189.
Who were you talking to?
Your Honor.
Who were you talking to?
People calling me about going different places for my work. I do home health care.
People calling you or you calling them?
Both.
She has 1 month with 874 calls. They are detailed, my phone number, my calls, her phone number, her calls. She has 874 calls in 1 month. That month alone, I believe the bill shows $1,080 in extra minutes alone.
Okay, the bills that you've given me are $1,635. Okay, now, I'm interested, Ms. Preston, because in your answer to this complaint, you say that you never had an agreement with him to pay this bill.
We had a verbal agreement that I would pay half.
You did?
But when I tried to, for instance, I bought groceries one time. My daughter was a witness to Bill going through the roof over the fact that I had bought groceries. He didn't want my money. And this
Well, that's what
happened
you
on
say in
claim.
your answer, but now you say that you do have a responsibility to pay this phone bill.
But he would not accept my money.
Did you ever offer him money for the phone bill?
No, I did not have the $2,000. I never saw a $2,000 phone bill.
Okay. Now you want to tell me about your counterclaim, please.
When I moved out, I recorded a conversation between Bill and I where he was off and on saying whether or not he was going to give me my stuff. At one point he said he'd give me my stuff and we'd just call it even. He threatened to hold my stuff, so to speak, hostage for $1,000 because that's what he said the phone bill was. He couldn't make up his mind about how much the phone bill was. I finally was able to talk him into letting me come in and get my stuff, and I got a U-Haul truck and some friends went over, got as much of my stuff as I could, and have discovered that there was a lot that I didn't get, and there were things that were ruined while I lived there because he has 3 dogs. They urinated or chewed my stuff up.
I'm not interested in what his dogs did to your stuff. You were living there voluntarily.
Yes.
His dogs
Your
pulled
Honor.
apart. Shh, do I look like I need help? Okay. Now, if you didn't like living there, you should have moved out, which you ultimately did, but then you don't sue him because his dogs damaged some of your stuff. What stuff do you claim he didn't give you?
I don't have an itemized list, Your Honor.
Well, then you don't get anything for that. So then let's go to the next part of your counterclaim, which was for harassment. You want to tell me about that?
I have a taped conversation. It's a very vulgar taped conversation.
Why
with
don't you
him.
tell me about it?
Just harassing me, telling me I can't have my stuff, cussing me out about
But he
a
ultimately gave you
conversation.
your stuff.
Some of it.
Is
He
that what you're
harassed my daughter.
Is that what you're talking about? Is that the harassment that you're talking
Yes,
about?
not only did he harass my daughter, but so did his witness.
His witness isn't on trial today, so you have no counterclaim. And he has a claim. That's the bills that he's presented to me are $1,635. That you get. Now, did you shut off the cell phone, sir?
Oh, yes, I did. I had it
That is
long ago.
very smart. That's all.
I already been in the jail.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCall versus Wilhelm. Step forward, please.
71-year-old Bourbon McCall is suing his former friend, 32-year-old student Sandra Wilhelm, for unpaid loans and the cost of a car. Sandra says Bourbon's lawsuit is an attempt to keep her in his life.
Mr. McCall, it is your claim in this complaint that you were romantically involved with the defendant and made a series of loans to her, including a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Then she broke it off, and you want your money back.
Yes, Your Honor.
When and where did you meet Mr. McCall?
I met Sandra at a local pub that we both frequented.
Okay. When?
Sometime in March, Your Honor.
And when did you make this first loan?
Well, the first thing that happened, I had bought a computer, and Sandra agreed to come over and download it for me. Then she'd had an accident, and she had picked up a DUI, and her car was wrecked. So I then called her and asked her if I could be of any help to her. She said, well, my mother's got a car, that 88 Crown Victoria. Her mother was asking $2,300 for the car. I gave Sandra $2,300. We went in. She gave us the title. We then proceeded to go down and get it plated and titled.
Did you expect Miss Wilhelm to pay you back the money?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Did you ever tell her that?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Shh. Quiet. When did you tell her that?
I told her that before we bought the car. I said,
What did you say?
I said, if we buy a car, I'll help you get a car. But I said, I want title to that car. She said, well, how am I going to get plates and insurance and the rest of it? Why don't we just purchase a vehicle? You'll have the first lien on the vehicle so that I'm protected.
Well, the truth of the matter is, you really are not terribly protected. All you are, if you have title to the car, is you're exposed in case she has an accident, in case she doesn't get insurance.
Well, she did that.
I know, but that's a problem. Miss Wilhelm, first of all, how old are you?
32.
How old are you, sir?
71.
Okay. Miss Wilhelm, this, whatever kind of relationship you had with the plaintiff was of relatively short duration. I read your answer very clearly, and your answer says that he clearly wanted more from the relationship than you were prepared to give him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can I see the title to the car, please?
Yes.
Who
I
has
just
the
have a
title?
certificate of title.
I'd like to see it, please.
Here's a copy of the title.
And I'd like to see the certificate of
This is Exhibit B and C showing the registration and the application.
I just want the title to the car.
He has the title.
This is a copy. Who has
Yeah.
the original?
I have the original at home. I just made a copy of it, Your Honor.
Well, that wasn't very smart, sir.
Well,
That wasn't very smart because I read the defendant's answer very clearly. She says Bervin's goal was to control me. When I didn't respond to his advances, he became increasingly hostile. Is that true?
That is correct.
It's not true.
Eventually, I told him that he could have the car back because it's not worth the harassment. That's what you wrote. Is that what you wrote?
Yes.
Good. Sign the title over to him. Sign it over. Now.
He has the title.
You're going to sign the copy. We'll conform it. Show where to sign, Bird, would you please? You're getting good at that.
Where? He told me he didn't want the car, Your Honor.
Sign the title over to him.
Signature of seller. And print your name.
Now, give it to him, please. Thank you, Bird. Perfect. Now, let's get to the second part of your lawsuit is you made a series of loans to the defendant. When did they start?
Started after we had purchased the automobile. She just needed money time after time, and I felt like we were committed enough. We'd already committed that we would go to Texas once she got through her ordeal, and that she would move with me, take the kids. She wanted out of Indiana, so did I.
She's 40 years your junior.
Yes, I know, Your Honor.
Very foolish.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very foolish. Do you have a promissory note, sir?
No, Your Honor.
You gave her money for a lawyer.
Yes.
How much money did you give her for a lawyer?
$500.
That's not true.
You gave her money to pay her mortgage.
$500.
Did you ever get a note from her for any of those things?
No, Your Honor. I was too involved.
Well, you were too involved, and that's what you get when you're too involved.
That's
sir.
right.
You don't get paid for that.
That's right.
That's stupidity.
Well, I said that to myself.
Well, if you said it to yourself, unfortunately, you got to listen to me say it to you again.
That's okay.
So this was a lesson that cost you perhaps a couple of $1,000s. Miss Wilhelm says that you never gave her any money, I assume. Is that right?
That's correct.
Never gave you any money?
No.
I don't know whether I believe you that he never gave you any money. I sort of think he probably did. In any event, you knew each other for a total of maybe 8 weeks. In the 8 weeks, the plaintiff is out a substantial amount of money. I can't get you back all the money that you were out, sir, because I really feel as if you didn't have a contract with her with regard to these cash loans that you made to her, cash gifts that you made to her. But clearly it was your intention to have a hold on the car, which was the largest amount of money that you turned over to the plaintiff, by having your name placed as a lien holder on the car. That is some evidence of a debt. That is why you got your car back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Rest of your claim is dismissed. That's all.
37-year-old trucker John Staley says during a visit with his sister, 38-year-old customer service rep Terry Thompson, she attacked him with a hammer. John says Terry lied to police and had him arrested for domestic violence.
Mr. Staley, the defendant is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, she filed a false police report causing you to be arrested, spending a day in jail. Those charges were subsequently dismissed, but you want her to pay for your lost wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? When did this incident occur that caused you to be arrested?
August 9th,
And where did it take place?
at the defendant's home of residence.
What were you doing there?
On August 9th, I came home to my home, and I found my niece, my oldest niece, on the phone.
Your
I asked
oldest
her-
niece is your daughter?
Yes.
Go ahead.
She was calling people on the phone, and she advised me that her car had broken down. She didn't have any money on her, and she needed help getting the car towed to get the car fixed. And she asked for my assistance. At the point, I didn't really have any money, but as we were discussing this, the tow truck showed up at my residence. So I told Lori to go with the tow truck driver to go get the car, have the vehicle towed, and I would go to the bank, withdraw money to pay for the towing. And Lori needed to go back to her mother's house, so I took Lori back to her mother's house, and that's what I was doing there.
And what happened when you got there?
I walked with Lori upstairs to the apartment. I stayed in the hallway.
Your Honor,
of the-
don't put your hand up yet. You'll have an opportunity to tell me your side of the story.
I stayed in the hallway while Lori went in and got her things, and there was a discussion that Terry made about that I owed her an apology over an incident that took place 2 years ago.
Have you spoken to your sister since?
I haven't spoken to my sister since February or March of this year.
But you were outside in the hallway.
I was in the hallway of the apartment.
She came out to the hallway?
Yes, she did.
to tell you
She
that
wanted an apology, and she made some statements, and I told her she needed to get her facts straight on that issue, but I wasn't going to apologize for this incident. It's 2 years old, and there was no need, and I felt I was in the right of that incident.
Okay.
And she told me to leave, and I tried telling her that I needed to take Lori back to get her car, and she said, no, you're not. She demanded that I leave, and if I didn't leave, she was going to go in, get a hammer, and she was going to beat me with the hammer. And I said, fine. So I turned around, I started walking down the steps. I was on the second step when my sister tried shoving me down the stairs. As she was pushing for me from behind, I turned around with my arm, I raised my arm in defense, and at the same time I tried to maintain my balance on the stairwell.
Had she gotten the hammer?
Not at that point. She got hysterical and everything. She started screaming out loud, and she ran back into her apartment, and I started walking down the stairs, and I was at the first turnaround. There's 3 flights of stairs, and there's a turnaround at one point, and that's when she emerged with the hammer from the apartment.
Did she come down the stairs to
Yes,
where
she
you
did.
were?
I started running down the stairs. I was at the bottom of the stairs when we came together, and she went to swing the hammer, and I put my hands up in a high blocking fashion, and the hammer caught my right forearm, and then I returned a kick to Terry, kicking her away from me, and this bought me a couple seconds to get out the door. Terry then chased me out the door, and I turned and I tossed my keys at Terry. I missed Terry, and my keys went into the bushes on the east side of the doorwell. And then she continued to swing the hammer, and she started yelling to her neighbors, call 911, I'm being assaulted, as she was swinging the hammer.
Did you report this to the police?
Yes, I did.
When?
What happened was Lori came out, and I ended up taking Lori back to her car.
When did you report this to the police?
After I dropped my niece off at her car, I went straight to the sheriff's department.
And what happened when you got there?
They interviewed me, and I told them about the apology and
told them the story.
Told them the story. They said they had to talk to Terry about the hammer because she didn't originally tell them about the hammer. And they come back and they said she admitted to using the hammer and that I admitted to kicking her. And as far as they were concerned, this was mutual combat, and their policy is to take one of us to jail. They elected me because I was already there.
And subsequently the charges were dismissed.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see your paperwork, please. Now, Ms. Thompson, you tell me your version of these events, please.
He's been told several times, this would meaning the 5th time of this year, that he doesn't need to be over harassing me or coming over to my apartment. There's no reason for him to be over there since we do not get along. There's been a few domestic disputes in the past.
Whatever. Your daughter came home to gather some stuff. Your brother is standing outside in the hallway of your apartment. What happened from there?
Okay. Well, I buzzed my daughter to get in. I only seen my daughter get in.
Fine. Your brother is standing in the landing.
He pushed his way in my
Where
apartment.
was he in the apartment?
He was standing in the living room.
Is the living room as soon as you enter into the door?
Yep.
Fine. Okay. So he's standing in the living room. What happened next?
He was trying to say hi, and he was being very much agitating and aggressive. And I said, why are you here? You know, you don't get along. We don't get along.
What did he tell you?
He was very much trying to say hi,
No,
very
Ms. Thompson.
jumping up and down.
Ms. Thompson, pay careful attention to me.
Okay.
He was there because he had brought your daughter there, right?
He could have waited in the car.
Just a second. Answer my question.
Yes.
He was there because he brought your daughter there.
Yes.
And he was waiting for her.
No.
He took her back to get her car.
That's correct.
Right. She got her things, and eventually, after this altercation, she left with him. Is that right?
It's correct.
Now, I want you to tell me about this hammer that you admit that you hit him with.
First, he punched me first before I got a chance.
Where did that take place?
It happened in the hallway.
What level in the staircase did it happen where he punched you?
On the 2nd level.
Was he in front of you or behind you?
He was in front of me.
What were you doing following him out of the building?
He was still agitating me the whole way.
What were you doing following him as he was leaving the building?
Your Honor, he's constantly over in my apartment.
I don't care about constantly over. I'm asking you, he's leaving. You told him to leave. He's on his way down the stairs.
Right, agitatingly.
not agitating, leaving the building. Whether he's leaving the building and he's saying words to you or he's not saying words to you, he's leaving. If he was agitating you, you close your door to your apartment, you say, my goodness, I'm glad he's out of here. You close the door, case closed. What were you following him for?
To make sure I didn't want him to come back.
Oh. When did you get the hammer?
I got it out from my closet in my apartment.
What did you call the police for?
I've constantly called the police.
I don't care constantly. What did you call the police for today, that day?
Because he was over again at my apartment harassing me.
Miss Thompson, was your daughter moving out of your apartment? Is that why she came over?
No, she just wanted one thing, a paycheck. She was in there for a second and out.
So she just came home to get a paycheck, right?
Right.
When did she tell you that she was just there to get a paycheck?
She didn't even bother telling me.
She walked in the door and you said something.
He followed her up.
When your daughter walked in the house,
okay,
did she tell you what she was doing there?
No, first she said, John is behind me.
Fine.
And then he pushed his way in. And then she went to get her check to get him out of there.
That's not why she went to get her check. That is not why she went to get her check. She came to the house because she had to get a check. She asked him for a ride. He was not there uninvited by someone who lives in your house. Does your daughter live with you? Does your daughter live with you?
No, she doesn't.
Did she live with you then?
No.
Okay, but her check was in your home?
She came over to visit me, and the check was in her pants pocket, and she came back to pick up her check.
So she leaves clothes in your house?
There's times she visits.
So she leaves clothes in your house?
Yes.
So she invited him to drive her home. She walked in and said to you, John's behind me. Not John's behind me, he's stalking me. He followed me here in order to hurt you.
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
No, he didn't, Miss Thompson. Now, Miss Thompson, you told him to leave, and he was leaving. And your daughter was still upstairs. You're the one who gets agitated. Because you were following him down the stairs, you went upstairs, and you got a hammer.
And he couldn't stay in his car?
He could have stayed in his car.
Mm-hmm.
Sure he could have. That doesn't give you license to go and get a hammer and assault him with a hammer. That doesn't give you license to do that. He's not a stranger. It's not somebody that you don't know. You may not get along with your brother, Miss Thompson, but that doesn't give you license to pick up a deadly weapon and to use it. At all. And you're absolutely responsible for his lost day's wages, which in this case, all he's suing for is $134.84. You got it. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step down. All parties in the matter of Arvizu versus Lawrence, step forward, please.
36-year-old police officer Edward Arvizu claims Deborah Lawrence's daughter, 14-year-old Autumn, made unauthorized phone calls on his calling card.
Mr. Arvizu, you have a daughter.
Yes, I do.
And the defendant has a daughter.
Yes.
And your two girls were best friends.
Yes.
For a long time. For how long?
About 8 years.
And then I gather that there was a time when your nephew, who lived out of state, came to visit you for a while.
Yes, it was early of April this year.
And the defendant's daughter sort of developed an attachment for your nephew.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then he went back home.
Yes.
What state do you come from?
Arizona.
And what state does nephew come from?
California.
After he went home, you got a whopping telephone bill.
Yes, I did.
$1,042.42. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So did you call the phone company and...
I noticed that I recognized all of the numbers.
And whose numbers were they?
The originating number was from my sister's house, where my nephew lives, and...
What were these, collect calls or...?
Calling card.
Calling card?
Yes.
Oh, so somebody got a hold of your calling card?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The numbers that the calls were placed to were also familiar. My daughter said, "That's Autumn's number, Dad." So...
That's Autumn?
Yes.
So what did you do next?
I called my sister, sent her a copy of the bill. She was not happy, but was willing to accept the responsibility. And I also did the same thing with Autumn's mother. Sent her a copy of the bill. She
I was never mailed a copy of the bill.
She told me that I got a call back a few days later that she would only accept responsibility for the calls that Autumn made. And at this point on the first bill, it was only like $12.96.
Okay. Well, that would be fair, to only accept responsibility for the calls that Autumn made. But then you got another bill.
Yes.
What was the next bill?
$1,451.40.
And how much of that bill is attributed to phone calls that Autumn made?
I only have it figured out with tax and from the prior month. For the second month, $1,349.35.
So she made all the calls?
Yes.
Next month. Plus $1,296.
Yes.
So $1,352.31.
When their nephew came to visit, a crush happened for both of them. It wasn't just one. She was 13, he was 17. Their son drove the nephew home, and apparently the son had left his wallet there because he had expressed to Autumn he needed to mail it back. How he got the PIN number, I do not know. But the calls originated from him. When he spoke to my daughter, he said, call me at this number, and...
He gave her a calling card.
Well, he didn't give her a card. He gave her
the number.
A card number and a
okay,
pen number.
Autumn, did you recognize the number on that card?
At first.
You've called that number many times over the last 8 years, isn't that right? Because your friend lives there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you realize that card had the same telephone number as your friend, as the Arvizus, right?
Yes.
Who'd you think was going to pay for that?
I didn't think about it at the
Right, you didn't think about it. That's the
when
bottom line of it.
When he gave her the number and the pen number, the only calling cards that Autumn has ever had are the ones that you buy in stores. The pen numbers are not attached. They're ones that you create. And he told her this was, you make your own pen number. You make your own, you have the number, but you don't have a pen number. You make your own.
So what?
He told her it was his.
So what?
And that this was okay, and that when she asked how many minutes were on it, he said unlimited.
Did you have that whole conversation with him?
Yes.
You see, 13-year-olds are very smart, Ms. Laurent. 13-year-olds are so smart when it comes to these numbers. They know all about that.
No, they don't. No,
yeah,
at least not my daughter does not.
Well, who do you think should pay this $1,349.35? Him?
No, I think that the nephew should.
He's 17. He's not responsible to pay anything.
He is the one who got the number. There is no way that she could have.
Listen to me.
She would not have done anything that would have caused somebody to pay a lot of money.
Responsibility. She lives in your house, right?
Yes, she does.
Did she use your telephone to call him?
Yes, she did.
To call him. How much of a phone bill did you get?
Because he gave her a number for a calling card that was prepaid.
Answer my question. Did she use your telephone?
No. Yes, she used my telephone.
But she did not bill it to you?
No.
And that's because she knows that calling costs money.
Yes. But
you know how long you have to sit on the phone to work up a bill of $1,362.31? A very, very long time.
Yes.
Now, in the second month, most of those calls came from her.
Well, he would page her on her pager using the calling card, and then she would return the call.
Your Honor, I have the bills here that show how many times she called. The times are on the bill.
Oh, she called him and sat on the phone with him, right?
Yes.
Is this the nephew?
Yes, it is.
Step up here. What's your name?
Brandon.
Where'd you get the card from?
I found it on the floor in my cousin's room.
And you knew it was the wrong thing to do to have it, right?
No, I didn't find the card. I just found the number.
The number?
Yeah, it was written down on a piece of paper.
So what'd you use it for?
At the time, I wasn't thinking.
Well, you weren't thinking a lot.
Pretty much.
What happened in the second month? You stopped calling so much.
I just didn't call. I just paged her, and then she'd call me back.
Why?
I don't know. I just got...
What do you mean you don't know?
I didn't...
Did you get in trouble with your mother?
No.
Did your mother say anything about the first bill?
The second bill did not show up until, wasn't even knowledgeable until after they had stopped making calls because of the way that they mail out the bills. There was no knowledge of a second month until after the calls had stopped.
You have to accept responsibility for what your daughter did.
My daughter didn't do anything intentionally. She trusted this boy. He told her it was a calling card number that was prepaid.
What? So what?
She would never have done it. She would never have used it because she adores this family. She's known.
What grade are you in school?
9th.
How do you do in school?
Good.
Let me hear what was your grade last semester in math?
A.
What was your grade in English?
A.
What was your grade in social studies?
A.
So you're not stupid.
No.
No, but
Judgment for the
naive to
plaintiff in the
rule.
amount of $1,362.31. Don't avoid responsibility. It's
I
a
was
very,
not avoiding
very
it.
bad lesson and message to send to your daughter.
No, it was
That's
a
all.
bad message for him.
Excused. You may step back. Now, this is case number 244 on the calendar in the matter of Nickerson versus Monk. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Nickerson, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours, and it is your claim that he purposely totaled your car by smashing into it. This was after he had ceased to be your boyfriend.
Right.
Mr. Monk does not deny that he did, in fact, smash into your car, but he has two defenses. One, it was that it was really just an accident, and second, that you should have had more insurance. Right?
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure I got it right. When did he cease being your boyfriend?
That night.
It was a good answer. When did this happen?
August 7th.
Where were you?
I was at a friend's house.
Male friend?
Yes.
About what time?
About 7, 8-ish.
He came over.
He followed me.
What happened?
He knocked on the door, and my friend said, I think your boyfriend is outside. I said, oh, no, quit playing. And then he got more furious. Aisha, if you don't come out here. And so I finally...
You mean the defendant got more furious?
Yeah. He started yelling my name, and I was paranoid. And then I finally opened the door, and I came out there, and he was ranting and raving.
What was he saying to you?
Oh, it was belligerent.
What was he saying?
Oh, you know, how could you do this to me? Why are you here? Yada, yada.
And what did you say to him?
You know, I just said I was over a friend's house. By this time, I'm mad because he's embarrassing me at my friend's house. So I was getting upset with him, and I told him none of his business. And then he got more upset. Then this is in the back of the house, and then we're walking. He threw someone's garbage can on the ground, and I'm paranoid. Then I got on my cell phone. I called the police because he was getting violent. He was getting in my face.
He was getting in your face, and he threw somebody's garbage can?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Then we proceeded to the front where my car was parked, and his car was parked on across the street. Okay, and then we were arguing, and then he got in his car. It looks like he was going to take off and leave, but I guess the devil got in him. And so he did a donut, and he sped and totaled my car. 360 turn and totaled my car.
What kind of car did you have?
A 2001 Corolla Toyota, 3 months old. My first new car.
Okay. You have a different version of what happened?
Yes.
I'll hear you.
First of all, we were still together on that day when.
Okay, you were still
when
together.
the thing happened. Yes. And I did not follow her. I was not following her. I was on my way somewhere else, and I just happened to pass by that area, and I seen her car outside the home.
How big an area do you live in?
What do you mean?
You live in a city or?
Yeah, it's a town. It's a town.
How many people live in that town?
I don't know, a couple thousand, about 50,000.
So you're just around 50,000. So you
Yeah,
just happen to
maybe
be
more,
going
maybe
down
more.
that street.
Yeah, I was going down that street.
Okay, go ahead.
Where I was going, I was passing that area.
I got you.
But anyway.
Believe me, I got you. Go ahead.
Anyway, so I see her car there. So I was on my way to do something, so I continued to do what I was doing. I called her cell phone.
When you said you saw her car there, was it parked in the street or in a driveway?
Yeah, it was parked on the street. The street I'm going down, if I look that way, I can see her car parked right there. And I know her car, and I know that she knows people that stay in that house. That's why I knew it was her.
Ah, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, I proceeded to call her on the phone, and she didn't answer her phone, so that made me suspect something even further. So after I finished doing what I was doing, I came back over there, and I knocked on the door. Nobody answered, so that, like she said, that made me more mad, and I was getting restless and upset. So I was calling her name out, and finally she came out. We got in a heated discussion. Things were getting too hot. You know, I was getting too upset, so I jumped in my car and I proceeded to leave. My car was parked opposite of hers on the other side of the street. I went to make a U-turn. By this time, I'm so upset that I'm driving reckless. So I lost control when I was coming back after making a U-turn, and my car went into hers.
Right. Okay, now let's talk about the damage. The car's been totaled?
It's totaled. It was not up.
What kind of insurance did you have on this brand new car?
The worst insurance in the world. Due to my age, I had to go with the cheap insurance. So I went to this place, but it was full coverage because you can't drive it off the lot without full coverage. So they're telling me they can only pay the blue book. So apparently the dealer must have gotten over on me on the overall price of the car, which, regardless of the case, I paid for it. That was my decision.
Let me see the paperwork. How old are you?
24.
So, according to this letter from the insurance company, they're prepared to give you $14,541.
Right.
And did you have a loan on this car?
Yes.
And what was the total loan amount on the car?
19,100 something.
Who went with you to buy this car?
He did.
Did you shop around at all?
Yeah. I was shocked I got approved. I was happy. It had a nice steering wheel.
A nice what?
Steering wheel. Leather.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at customer service.
For whom?
Kaiser.
For how long?
3 years.
How much do you earn?
Not a lot.
How much do you earn?
Yearly, about 30,000.
How many payments did you make on this car?
Like 4 payments.
And how much were your payments?
$365.
A month?
Yes. Plus 120 of that insurance.
120 of the 365 was for insurance?
Mm-hmm, the insurance. That lousy insurance. Can I say their name? The insurance name?
Sure.
I can?
Sure.
They suck.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aisha Nickerson claims ex-boyfriend Carl Monk crashed into her car during a jealous rage. Carl says it was definitely an accident.
What percentage of interest do you have on this loan, do you know?
10%, 10.9.
You're not a very good shopper.
I was just with her. I wasn't helping her along.
Well, you have to deduct the payments that you've already made to the company because you don't have a payout figure, do you?
No.
Okay. That would leave a balance that you owe the company of about $3,765. Now, Mr. Monk, you hit a car.
Yes.
You gotta
It was an
pay.
accident.
Well, it wasn't her accident. It was your accident.
But it was an accident.
No, it wasn't her accident. It was your accident. She wasn't in her car. Her car was standing. Her car didn't move over to your car. Right?
Right.
You hit her car.
True.
All riled up, angry, whatever else it was. Her car's not responsible for your anger. You are. So you got to pay her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,765. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back. This is case number 2. This is case number 257 on the calendar in the matter of Lamont versus Williford. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Lamont, according to the complaint, the defendant is your ex-boyfriend and you claim that you loaned him some money.
Yes.
Defendant says that you actually owe him money because a while ago you wrecked his car or truck. First, tell me about this truck. You were driving his truck. Under what circumstances?
I believe it was in March of 2000.
Yes.
He drove me to Sacramento to go to court there. And on our way
What?
back, I had lived in Sacramento and I received a ticket that I had to go back and pay when I had returned to LA.
Okay.
And on the way back, he asked me to drive so he could sleep. And so I drove. And on the way back, to avoid getting in an accident, I swerved off the road and hit a guardrail.
And there was damage to his car.
Yeah. And he never asked me to fix it.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Man. Cold-hearted. She's lying, Your Honor. I'm
Are
just
you
trying-
finished?
Yeah, I'm finished. As long as you are.
We're going to have a problem.
You take any prescribed medication, sir?
No, ma'am, I ain't on no.
Quiet. You take any prescribed medication?
No, ma'am, I ain't on no
You-
prescribed medication.
You take any other kind of medication?
No, ma'am.
Then behave yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car was it that was in this accident?
A Ford Ranger.
What year?
99, I believe.
There came a time when you gave him some money towards having the car fixed, according to you. $1,500?
It actually, because I had wrecked the car and he had never asked me to repay him, I decided that when I got the money that I received in a settlement, that I would take it upon myself to take responsibility for the fact that I did crash his truck, and I gave him $1,500.
Okay, that's not the money that you're suing for.
No.
What money are you suing for?
At the same time that I gave him the $1,500, he also asked to borrow $2,000 because he had gotten into some trouble.
What kind of trouble? Doesn't surprise me.
You know, I don't exactly know, but...
What do you think? Tell me what you think, Miss Lamont.
He had gotten in trouble with the drug dealer.
And he needed $2,000.
Yes.
Did he tell you what would happen to him if he didn't give this drug dealer $2,000?
You know, I could only assume at that time from...
So you gave him the $2,000. That's the money that you're suing for.
That I loaned him, yes.
Now, you had a '99 automobile in the year 2000. Had you purchased it for payments or had you paid cash for it?
I paid payments, man.
So if you made payments on the car, the bank requires that you have insurance.
That's correct.
And did you have the car fixed after it was in the accident?
Yes, ma'am. I have the papers right here to show that.
He didn't have insurance.
What?
He didn't have insurance.
Well,
he didn't have his license.
You weren't even driving. It ain't your car. You don't know.
Don't speak to her. Remember what I said. Mr. Williford tells me he had insurance, which he must do by law if he's got a financed car. Isn't that right, Bert?
That's absolutely right, Judge.
And I assume that if you had a financed car, they allow you to have some sort of a deductible, usually $500. Is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So you had out-of-pocket expense of $500. Is
No,
that...
that's wrong.
Well, how could it be wrong, sir? That's the way insurance works.
Well, I didn't go through insurance, man, because she was an unlicensed driver, and she had made the promise to me that she was going to pay me back the damage. Here's the estimate for my car.
No.
She was going to
That's
pay
what you
me.
have insurance for, Mr. Williford.
Yeah, but then your insurance claims go up. I gotta pay more per month. It wasn't worth it. I'd rather pay the cash and get it fixed at the dealership.
Is that what you did?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And that's what your choice was. If you asked the plaintiff to drive your car, and according to you, you knew she was an unlicensed driver, then you took that risk. And if you choose not to go through your insurance, she would certainly be liable for the $500 deductible, because that would have been your out-of-pocket expense. You chose not to do that. Now, in addition to the $1,500 that she gave you to fix the car, you said she gave you another $2,000. What do you claim that was for, Mr. Williford?
I had the $2,000 that she gave me was for fixing my car, a down payment towards the $4,800 total damage. I don't know about no $1,500. I only know about $2,000.
Your Honor, I have the return check
May
to
I
me.
see it, please?
It's for $3,100, and also there, and these are the
Well,
statements.
$2,000 and $1,500 does not add up to $3,100. Even I know that.
My money was in my mom's account. Since I had already given him $400, I was only going to give him $1,100 to total $1,500 for what I was giving him, plus the $2,000 he wanted to borrow.
I got you. So to the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Williford had any other trouble with drug dealers?
Probably. That was his lifestyle.
Even when you were together?
I had moved away to Sacramento, and in that time, 6 months period, when I came back, he was a total different person.
Different, not for the better.
No.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Williford?
I'm a musician, ma'am.
You work regularly?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Different studios. I'm working on recording a demo right now.
Is there any record that you ever made that Bird might have heard of?
A record that I made that Bert might have heard of? No, ma'am, I haven't released anything yet.
So who pays you?
My corporation that I work with, people that I'm talking to.
And what kind of musician are you?
I'm a rapper, man.
Bird and I don't know about that.
Oh, man, you're missing out. You don't know, hip-hop is live.
I know. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excuse you,
All
step
right,
out.
kid. Let's go. Everything's all good, man. I'm taking care of my life. I'm going on. It's all good.
Yeah, I needed to get the money that I helped him out with, and he needs to take responsibility for it.
Probably.